Good evening, everybody. Just a couple things we want to go by. Hello?
Yeah, you gotta keep it close.
First off, if you didn't sign in, would you please go over to the door and sign in? Or the stenographer is going to be handing out a sheet if you didn't sign in. Telephones, please make sure your phone is on silent so people can hear and it's not going to interrupt the meeting. Anybody that plans on speaking tonight needs to be sworn in. So if you would please, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance first and then we'll get you sworn in. So please rise for this Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if you would remain stand if you're going to speak, and then you can get sworn in by the stenographer.
Just everybody. Speak or not, everybody here, just stand up, please, raise your hand. Solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give, about to give this evening.
Okay, now I'm going to hand the meeting over to Dennis, and he's going to facilitate the hearing part of it.
Just note for the record. Yes, can you hear me talk this loud, everybody? No? Can you hear me back there? So you guys got bad, worse ears than I do. I hate to talk. I normally don't like to talk into mics, but I guess I have to. All right, so just know for the record that everyone stood and was sworn in. And the reason why you're sworn in, because this is a public hearing, there's going to be a record taken. There's going to be a transcript made, okay? So the first thing I want to show you is, I don't know if you guys noticed these maps. Have you all seen the maps here up front? So this is a map that comes off the Washington County Parcel Viewer map. It's created by Washington County. The map shows let's see if I know how to work this thing. I do, I think. So the map shows the property owned by CNX. That's the yellow blocks. You see that, folks? We have a map over there. We have a map over there. So that shows the property owned by CNX throughout this South Strabane. Now, they do own property on the other side of 7079, but that's not of consequence. When they say that they own 1,500 acres of property, if you go up to Mitchell Road and look at the sign there, it says 1,200 acres for sale, not 1,500 acres. So that's all incorrect. It's 1,200 acres. So their property follows pretty much the railroad. Are you familiar with the railroad that goes along 136? It follows the railroad. It goes all the way over here. So this is all their property. Now, I had the township engineer, Mr. Stevens, show me the floodplains for the area. The railroad is in a floodplain. That whole area from here is all floodplain. In fact, it goes all the way to, I think that's 519 over here. That's all floodplain. So they can't really develop that property. That property has, underneath the floodplain law, they would have to go through certain requirements, makes it difficult to build anything. So that's all this property cannot be used by them. Now the green, if you guys looked at these maps, the little green blocks shows basically the 500-foot setback from the property lines. Okay? I feel like I'm a teacher here right now. Apologize. So The blue indicates the 1,000-foot setback from the residence. That shows the arcs. Okay? So after you take the 500-foot setback and the 1,000-foot setback, this light area is the area that they can build on. That area is not subject to the setback. So the different color would be the area that they can build on if they decide to go forward with the proposed ordinance. When they say they can't build on there with the ordinance, we can tweak it, but if anything's developed, I'd rather have them stay behind that ridge. Are you familiar with the ridge over there that runs along the railroad? That ridge is pretty high. If they want to build, first of all, I can't stop a data center. If I say data center is illegal, they're going to say basically it's exclusionary and they're going to have the ordinance knocked out. I have to tell you that's what the law is. If I make it too difficult, like an exclusionary, they can challenge it. My goal is to keep them behind this ridge because that ridge is a natural buffer between people that live in the area and this whole situation. This is a bowl effect in this area. So I just want to give you some idea of what, when they say they can't build because the ordinance, I can tweak it, but this will be the area that they can build in right here. Okay? You'll understand that? There's a map over there. There's a map over there also that shows the different areas that they can build in. And again, that's all based upon the parcel viewer map on the courthouse and based upon some annotations on the map itself with what I have here. This area has one road that goes through it. It's called Mitchell Road. When you have a chance, you should drive down Mitchell Road to take a look at it. Mitchell Road goes from 136. It then goes to Rankin Road. There's nothing on that road. It's all CNX property. There's a couple of houses which they rent out to different companies or different people, but that's all their property. So I just want to give you a laydown on what the property looks like. You all understand that? Any questions about the map at this time? I guess.
Dennis.
Maps, state your name.
So I grew up out there and I drove down that road, Mitchell Road. I walked that property every day of my life. And so you're telling us that you want them to have the Mitchell Road access.
What I'm saying to you is it's not what I want. I'm just saying if they have, that's their property. Mitchell Road runs through the property.
Right. And there are actually 3 houses out there.
Owned by them.
And there's a portal, that the old portal.
That's no longer used. It's owned by another company, I believe, or used by another company.
So you're saying that if we have data centers, that this is the place you want to be?
I cannot exclude data centers. If I say we don't have data centers in the township, it will be illegal.
So everybody here should go up and down this road.
Oh, it was enlightening from my perspective to go down there. I mean, you get a different perspective what it's like. It's like a bowl effect, but there's that ridge that runs parallel to the railroad. It's for some reason it's very high.
It is, but the railroad runs parallel to both those bridges.
The railroad runs along the creek,
Yes,
which is also a floodplain.
it is. And it's flooded.
And that's the reason why when they say about building in it, they cannot build in the floodplain the way the current law is. Well, that's true, but they make it sound like they can. Legally, they can't unless they comply with certain, they can go through and try to have a map change through FEMA, or they can go and make a change in the building. There's certain things they can do, but the way it is right now, they cannot build in the setback, the way I perceive it. They cannot build in that setback at all. When they make a fuss about a 500-foot setback from the property, I don't think it's a valid argument. Okay? Yes, Ms. Ecker.
If we did a 1,500 acre setback,
1,500,
would that?
1,500 feet.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. If we did a 1,500 foot setback, would there still be buildable land?
Possible. I mean, I haven't, that's not mapped out. That's mapped out with 1,000 like we talked about. So I haven't done anything. I'd have to take a look at it.
Probably down to 600.
Yes, sir. Your name? Well, that's what we proffered in the current ordinance. We put 1,000 feet. When I looked, For the record, when I drafted this ordinance, they think for some reason that Center for Coalfield Justice gave me ordinances. They say that a number of other different, like Penn Future gave me the ordinance. When I drafted the ordinances, it was looking throughout the state at what other people have done. This, as I said last night, as in Hanover last night, we adopted an ordinance there last night for data centers. It's taking the best of what I could see that other people are doing. They have a lot of data centers going on Lancaster County. They have them going in Lackawanna County, which is, I think, Wilkes-Barre area. I think that's Lackawanna County. They have them in Luzerne. So what people are doing is they're trying to preempt what they're seeing, because this is new. I mean, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I dealt with oil and gas industry. Then 10 years ago, 7 years ago, I dealt with solar farms. Now I'm dealing with data centers. It's a new concept. So what I drafted did not come from Jody Barella, okay, for the record. It did not come from Penn Future. It came from looking at other people. The most I think I've seen so far is 1,000-foot setback in terms of data centers, at least what I can see. 1,000 feet? I think they can always take you to court. You know, that's a possibility. I mean, it probably will down the road, but I think the 1,000-foot setback is reasonable. You know, I would do nothing less than 1,000 feet, but that's up to the Board of Supervisors, not me. Okay, but that 1,000 feet, again, if you all go, you need to, you know, after this began, I'll be frank, I went down there with a friend, and I never knew, you need to go Flory Hill Drive, you need to go around there. There's this creek basically creates this ridge, which is like a natural buffer between the rest of the area. So this north and west area. So when they say they can't build because of the ordinance, I don't think that's true. I mean, I can modify some things because, you know, but I don't want them to go beyond that ridge. That makes sense, you guys? That ridge is a natural buffer. Now, they made a fuss in the letter. I reviewed their letter they sent the other day back in March. One of the arguments they had was because we require a buffer, I think a 50-foot or 100-foot buffer. I think it's a 50-foot buffer. But we also have provisions saying that the natural state, the natural woods, the natural hills can act as a buffer also. And that would still be in compliance. But if we can keep them off the ridge into this area, I think it's a doable situation. Yes, sir. Your name? I'm sorry, last name? Okay, S-H-A-W. Where's Roop Road at?
The other side of the ridge. Goes down to 519 where the ball field.
Over this way? Okay.
How much acreage is left after you remove the floodplain?
Well, that's what I find somewhat funny. They say they can't build. Again, this shade right here, this lighter shade, again, when they say it's 1,500 acres, that's not true. It's 1,200 acres. When you come off of 136. This area right here is about 736 acres. I had the township engineer take a look at it, made a rough calculation. Again, we're relying upon what we see on the parcel viewer map. And again, it's not always accurate, but right now with that setup, they would have about 700 acres. From my perspective, I would not like to see them build in this area, Flory Hill Drive, because that's residential. I mean, it's really a residential area. And over here, I mean, they have some limits. Now, this over here is like, I guess, a Pennsylvania State Police Lodge. Whoops. You didn't fix this the right way, Pete. So it's about 736 acres in that light shaded area. Now, thanks, Zach. Most places, I saw a situation in Middlesex Borough where the data center complex is 600 acres. So they'll have, even if you take them beyond that ridge, bring them down this area, I still think they have about 500-600 acres to put a data center campus in. Okay, that answer your question? But it's about 736 acres the way that's written, or the way that's shown. That took some effort. And again, I've had a lot of people help me with this. That helps me out because I'm not tech savvy. Okay? Any other questions about the map? Yes, ma'am. Your name? Sure. They own, if you look at this yellow block, these yellow things, I told you, it shows where they own. They own where the railroad is, and the area of the railroad, and over this area. So they own the ridge. Well, that would be a concern that we'd have to address. But right now, I mean, to knock that bridge, that hill down, it'd take a lot of earth movement, a lot of earth movement. So whatever we do, would have to have a situation where, well, it's when I have never tracked that road. I mean, tracked the property. I know here it seems like there's a bowl in this area based upon my view of the topography down in here. This is very hilly. That would take a lot of earth movement, which I think makes it kind of difficult. But again, I don't trust people. So we'd have to do something. We'd have to make sure that they don't develop in that area because I want that road. If this goes through, a data center goes through, I want that ridge to be a buffer with the people. Okay? Does that stream? Wells, I wouldn't know that answer. All I know is it's a creek that goes along the railroad. Is that Chartiers Creek? Well, that makes it even more difficult. I'm glad you mentioned that. It makes it more difficult. If it's a protected waterway, that makes it much more difficult for them to play with it.
And actually, for them to move the land is not a big deal.
Well, I'm saying it would take a lot of earth movement. Well, that would be something we'd have to deal with land development. I think whatever we do, we want to keep them behind the ridge. All right, that's Mrs. Your name again. When you talk, what's your name again, ma'am? Kathy Smith. Okay, so when you speak, when you raise your hand, give your name. Okay, that makes it easier because she's taking a record. 1 second. Yeah, that might be better. If you want to speak, can you come to the podium, please? That makes it easier. You come to the podium. I mean, I hate talking in this situation, talking to the microphone. I'm not used to it myself, but is that working? You want to pull that down? Go ahead, ma'am.
Sure.
Your name?
Leanne Bauer,
Okay.
and we own property on Roop Road.
Where's Roop Road on here? I lived here for 25 years. I still don't know all the roads.
So, here's Roop Road.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. You get to go back there, please.
Up until 3 years ago, we farmed the property that is in conversation. We put a pay on it. I know the topography like the back of my hand. I've had equipment all over it. So the ridges we're discussing, how much are the pipelines going to make an impact on this?
Pipelines? What do you mean by pipelines?
Well, there's pipelines across these ridges.
When you say they're easements, there's like natural gas?
There are pipelines across the ridges that are in conversation. So is that going to stop them? Or is that going to put us in a situation where they're going to say that we're giving them another setback and making it difficult for them to put these up there?
That they take their property subject to the easements. So when they have their property, that is an easement that they have to confront. That's their issue, not my issue.
Okay, because there are several pipelines that cross through these ridges that are in discussion.
Do you know where those pipelines are precisely?
Absolutely, I do.
So
We blew up a tractor on one.
well, if you can take a pin on that one map over there, can you mark that? Because that I need to know.
Yes.
I didn't. Like I said, I never drove down that road till about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
So if anybody has question, I have been all over what we call the Wounded Warriors, which if you're leaving Rankin and Zedeker, it is the left side of Mitchell,
Okay.
across from the portal.
Okay.
So there
So
are
this is what-
several pipelines going through there.
Is this what you farmed right here?
Yes, the ridges.
When did you last quit farming that, by the way?
About 3 years ago, whenever there was a changeover with Wounded Warriors.
So Wounded Warriors took over and
No. Wounded Warriors has had the property for at least 20 years. And there was someone else that had farmed it, and then we went in and farmed it, and it got harder and harder after they reclaimed the pipelines. And we were damaging equipment and decided that we
So,
weren't going to be there anymore.
if you can take a red pen or a blue pen and try to mark on that thing for me, that'd be a big help.
Absolutely.
Thank
I can also screenshot Onyx Hunt and give them to you so you can see
Yeah,
exactly.
That would be better yet. That'd
Can
be a
do
big
it.
help. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. You can take that map back with you to your desk, whatever's best for you.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else have anything to say about the map at this point in time? Anybody else have anything to say about the map? I see Dorothy Wasco put a map up there also. Okay, so this shows 3,115 addresses found. Where did you get this from, Dorothy?
I made it.
All right, can you come up there, please? You want to explain what it is?
Let's say everything or just about the map.
Well, we're just talking about maps right now.
Can I give you this?
Yes, you can.
No.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, it's fine. All right, thank you. This for the board?
I'm Dorothy Walsco. I live in Windsor Highlands. Okay, so my
Don't be nervous.
I know. My research indicates that impacts, especially nonstop noise, can be heard for far away as 3 miles. Using the South Strabane Public Works facility along Floral Hill Drive as a center, and with the help of mapping tools, this map, which I submit this evening, I'm sorry. Oh, should I go again? Okay. From the middle there of the South Strabane Public Works facility along Floral Hill Drive was the center of the map. And with the help of mapping tools, this map, which I submitted this evening, shows 3,115 properties are at risk. If in fact, the noise, the sound goes within that 3-mile radius of that location.
Is that it?
I got more, but
Is that for something later on?
well, I do have something that's sort of important.
Okay.
So I just found this out. Beginning November 2nd, there's going to be new appraisal guidelines. And appraisers, and they're also hiring data collectors. They will evaluate the quality from the view of your home to determine the fair market value. So if you have within like 500 acres, you can have a huge multi-building campus. 1,000 acres, you could have 40 major buildings, and many people might be able to see these from their homes. And once these appraisers do a fair market value, they're going to deduct because they can see all these buildings and noise and hums and the hum that goes 3 miles.
Just like I hear about 70, 79 from my house on Cameron Road every day.
I didn't. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
I'll do the rest for later.
All right. Thank you.
very much.
You're welcome. Dora.
Thank you for listening.
Anyone else have any questions about the maps? Please take the podium. Sure. State your name, please.
Diane Ecker. Just a question. It was mentioned that there were wetlands within the context of this acreage. Do you know where they are?
TJ, I don't know if there's any, the wetlands the wetlands should be the floodplain, I'm going to guess, but there may be a wetland because when you go down this road, this lady that we talked to before, she knows better than I thought there was like a creek in this little, like a stream here or something. When you drive down there, it seemed like there was a little stream coming into this area.
And
I don't know
my
whether that's
question would be, was it a protected wetland?
We
You know,
can- we
that
can-
would prohibit building there.
We can check that out because usually what they'll do, if you disturb 1 acre of wetland, you have to provide 3 acres of wetland to remediate. Am I correct, TJ?
Well, yeah, there would be similar protections for wetlands as there would be floodplains. So there would be state permitting and other regulations under Chapter 105 of the Pennsylvania Code that regulate development and construction within a floodplain or a wetland, Dennis. So it would apply to both.
So, and again, I'd never check for wetlands, but if you have a chance, sometime, if you can take a chance, if you can check the next couple of days, and if it check to see if there's any wetlands in that area besides the floodplain. You want to come up here, sir? Otherwise, she'll throw something at me.
There are actually,
Your name just one more time.
okay, Roger Shaw, Root Road. There are actually 3 wetlands identified by U.S. Fish and Wildlife in the area. There are 2 right next to 70 between the park and Route 70. There's 2 there. There's another one between the park and the old maintenance building. There's also another identified wetland.
Well, just while you're mentioning that, I forgot to mention the area that fronts Route 70, 79. That's what they call, hate that, a limited access situation. When you have a limited access on a highway, a state highway, or I'm sorry, this is a federal highway. You can't, there's limitations of what you can do. So when they say about 1,200, well, 300 over here, I guess you have them bottled up, I believe, Jamie, am I correct? But there's 1,200 acres. This over here, I don't think they can build it because it's limited access. That's really, really difficult to go into.
The closest one will be the one between the maintenance building and the park down along the creek. That's identified as one. If you go to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Data Mapper, I went through the whole property and those are the only 3 I could find.
But again, when that property's here, everything from here over to this area is a limited access. They can't develop that. Okay? And I know that from dealing with the feds. All right, anything else? Yes, Ms. Panassi, go up there, please. Could you state your name, spell your last name? I know what it is, but it's for her.
Judy Panasic, P as in Peter, Anasik.
Okay.
So my mom says looks like Panasonic, but we don't have that money. Regarding the maps, one of my sisters works in environmental science and that, and she had seen something on this that maybe TJ could also look into regarding stream stats, wetland, and I have some websites that were sent to me that I could send to you guys. But wetlands mapper, stream stats. And one of the things when she was looking through stuff for me was that there was something about the historic value of that creek and that area.
You're talking about this creek right here?
Yeah, that creek in that area, there further down, I think Dennis toward like the Zediker, but there was something historic she had seen online when she was doing looking some stuff up. And the other thing that I've brought up, and this goes along with what Dorothy brought up, and being able to see things, the Route 40 corridor is not far. You can see it from there. When you're on Route 40 in South Strabane and you're up by Murphy's Lawn and Garden, you can see all the way across and see everything. And years ago, I had talked to somebody who was like part of that group, and I did recently as well. And nothing should be able to be seen from there that would destroy the beauty of Route 40. Like they're trying to keep that intact and not make it, and regarding even the road being used too much, stuff like that. But I would think that if there's anything to put into the ordinance that could protect some of that stuff, that would go back to not taking that ridge down, that would be to not going so far out and limiting to where this is going to be, like you said, in that bowl. But those were a couple things that if TJ is looking into stuff anyway, if he could look into that, and I can forward you these. I found the email. But like there was something about that being historic, and then the concern about that being in the view of Route 40. And if there's a big data center plant there and how that would destroy that. I mean, that's Route 40 is huge. I mean, they do a whole weekend for it, right? Anyway, thank you.
All right. All right, any other questions about the map at this time? Otherwise, we're going to I'm going to start going down row by row. If you have questions. What's that?
I was just asking about, they can't see the map at Zoom, but no, we're good.
Okay, what we can do, can you hold that map up there, sir? Just, no, I'm talking about the people on Zoom.
Well, I can move your easel.
I was gonna put the onus on you to do that. You gonna move that?
I can move your easel and then.
Go ahead, that's fine.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, it'll fall apart though. Okay, so at this point in time, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go bit by bit. I'll ask him to go to the podium. Is that what you want? All right. Which one of you wants to speak? Both or one? So you're the mouth of the house? Okay. You want to go over there, please? So remember, I need the Financial Times tomorrow from you. There's a good art, just for the record. I was at Hanover Township last night. We adopted a data center ordinance last night, not as strict as this, but there's a article, is it called the Pittsburgh Financial Times? That's what I think it's called?
Yes.
There's a good article, so I'm asking that the Citizens Library provide me a copy because they showed it to me last night. It talks about, there's 10 areas, I think. One of them is Dedeker Station. The primary ones they're looking up is in Hanover right now, but they did mention Dedeker, and it's an article I'd like to read. So if you can do that for me, I'd really appreciate it. Okay?
We ready?
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'm Kathy, and I'm going to spell my last name. It's P as in Paul, IENKOWSKI. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, obviously we know about the light, the noise, the air, the water pollution. Did you know about the heat pollution, which can bring your land up to 16 degrees? A lot of the areas now are looking at moratoriums. They're looking at pauses in our data centers. There's 11 in Pennsylvania and in the state. There's a federal government that is looking into that. There is 14 communities that are looking into it. It doesn't say they can't come. It's just saying, give us an opportunity to study the effects of this. In fact, in Europe right now, they're putting them underground. I've also read where CNX said, oh, this is going to bring $400 million a year. My health, my community, my neighbors, priceless. I will tell you that, remember when the Meadows came? All that money was supposed to be for us, for property tax reform, and the politicians got involved, and guess what? It's now local share. So the other interesting thing I found, the New York Times today, and it confirmed this is just for Pennsylvania. Wall Street is paying attention, and they're nervous. 156 billion across 48 projects was blocked or stalled by organized local opposition. Thank you all. Morgan Stanley, Jeffries, Edward Jones, all of them are asking whether they can really do and deliver on their $1 trillion, promises to investors. And they also have the opinion that the people trying to block these projects are much more well-educated than they were before. The article confirms something else worth noting. 2023, 2024, developers quietly bought land under non-disclosure agreements before anyone knew what's happening. That's becoming harder because obviously We are very educated, apparently, and we're finding out this. So Wall Street is realigning its expectations because of the communities that are organized. So when we say we can't do something, obviously other organizations have. So the last thing I'm going to say is, and I just want to mention that the commissioners, Elector Janice has also said not in favor of Zediker. I know Larry Maggi has, and we don't have it in writing, but we heard that Nick Sherman is not in favor of this either. So everybody has changed their mind because this is a highly sought after residential area. And everybody I've talked to said this is absolutely absurd. And they just want to rape us in our area. I mean, that's what they want. They want the grids. So I'm looking at our supervisors that I did vote for. And I want you supervisors to be the one that have saved our community, not the ones that have destroyed this community. And I hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Keep in mind, one thing that it's in the ordinance about, we want to have a letter capacity concerning electrical. The grids, and I said this before at one of the meetings, the grids that are in this area are antiquated. There's an article, and again, I read stuff every day. I read stuff on the weekends. There's an article about in Michigan, state of Michigan, there was the grid collapsed because of the data centers and basically caused a lot of problems. You know, when one of the big fusses is we want them to have a letter capacity as to electricity, because I took a municipal law colloquium seminar last fall. In the eastern part of the state, what's happening is because of the use of electricity, they're having what they call rolling brownouts because of the whole situation. So, you know, we have to protect citizens. And that's why I said we put in that ordinance. We have some provisions about giving us a letter capacity and what the effect's going to be on the users itself. And they've really fussed up about that. But I don't want to have in my house, because right now I blew out a surge blew out my microwave, so now I have to get a new microwave. But we don't need problems with our electric grid here. So I agree with you. Okay, Judy, you have to go up there. You're gonna talk. You got to go up there.
Judy Panasic, Green Crescent Drive. I have a couple things I'd like to submit. I'm going to try to read this very quick and then explain one of the things I'll be giving you. First of all, I'd like to thank the solicitor, the planning board, and the supervisors for not taking this ordinance lightly and listening to the residents over the last 5 months. I don't know too many townships that would take the time and take all the input from residents like this township has and our solicitor has. We have no idea how lucky we are. And I've been going to meetings for 20 years. And right now we're at the best we've probably ever been. And listening to the residents over the last 5 months, our overwhelming concern for the health, well-being, and quality of life of our community is reflected in this ordinance. If this goes to court, I would like it on the record that the township and residents were not aware of the plan about the data centers until October of 2025, when it was put out into the media by the seller. There was an ordinance already being worked on at the time, but the release of the information, including the plan for over 40 data centers on the I-2 zoning, the residents had decided, it was documented. Sorry, when that came out, the residents went to the thing and they wanted it taken out of I-2 and just put in I-1, and the township did that. So then CNX came back and fought, and we're putting it back in I-2 or I-2 just for CNX. So they keep saying they're losing, but they keep getting things out of this. We only have to allow it someplace in the township. And I understand that it's going to be an I-2, but it's just the point. They're trying to say we're not doing anything for that. Residents have documented that this was taken out of the ordinance and then put back in. It is important because we're doing everything to try to work with them, and everything that we do, they just keep wanting more and more breaks. That land isn't even being taxed as I-2. It is being taxed mainly as residential and agricultural, and is surrounded by most of that. So it's not even being used as an I-2 zone, which is what this would basically change everything about the area. They want to be treated like everyone else. Then we are not being strict enough. When the gas wells came, which was temporary pads, not long-term, they have, sorry, guys, I should have my cheaters on. They have restrictions, including setbacks of 1,500 feet. And that was something everybody fought for. Residents wanted the strictest restrictions for light, sound, pollution, water, and general quality of life, and we got those. When Range Resources purchased a farm to put a compressor station on it over on Davis School Road, the township did not allow the change in zoning to allow it. It didn't come. When a resident wanted a gas well on their property and the township did not allow gas wells to go in that zoning for residential for the betterment of the community, they didn't get what they wanted. Another resident wanted to change his zoning at the corner of Bow and 79, again, because he was surrounded by commercial and it wasn't allowed. And when Ensinger came, they were fought. This township has a long history of wanting to maintain its beauty, and we are fighters. So if CNX wants to be treated like everyone else, they're getting exactly what they want. When it comes down to it, and if CN wants to come and dirty up what they're going to do to our township, then there should be benefits to our community as part of any development. In the past, we have gotten that as well. And what about the barrier, like the R5 that was created to go around the C3 zone of Strabane Manor? Could we do something like that, where that around the map that you were talking about, Dennis, that we have it over on the map that we created an R5 to put a barrier between light industry and residential? Could we do something like that here to make it better for the residents? The residents are only asking for the residents are only asking you to do what has been going on for the last 20 years to protect us. Our quality of life is going to change. Increased utilities, the value of our homes going down. I have an email here from the people that one of the people I think we're selling the property to or buying for the data centers. And in it says they want minimal floodplain, wetlands on site, and no underground mines. So that whole area is undermined, and I believe that is also in our ordinance. So here's evidence that that's something they don't want. I've already mentioned historic Route 40. And we're allowing them to come. We're just not giving them the capacity they would like. And all of us have that. If not, there's no reason for ordinances. Nobody can put 2 houses on their property. Nobody can put a fence in a certain area. We have rules in this township and they should have to follow them just because they don't always get what they want. And as I understand what you're saying regarding the protections now, but we have this board now. All it takes is an election to get a different board on and people that could potentially change any ordinance that we have. And that's the scary thing. But I would just like to, again, thank the board, thank Dennis. And I would just like to thank all the residents who have really been involved in this and taken so much time and energy to research what they have. I mean, it's been unbelievable what everybody has done. So thank.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sorry. About this thing. So you mentioned before about some document that some type of realtor, we'll call it for lack of better words, set forth some type of 400-acre situation. Is that what you were talking about? If I were to show you this document, is this what you referred to?
No, I wasn't referring to that. I said 1,500 feet back was my thing.
Okay, but I thought you mentioned early on about the marketing, but no matter what, that's what I thought you were leading to. But what I like for the board to do at this point in time is place into evidence Exhibit A, which is, I believe, was given out at one of those meetings, I guess.
Oh, you're talking about, the 40 data centers that they had given
That's
out.
what you
Yes.
referenced.
Yes, the reference was that they had placed online what they planned on doing in that area, and it included areas that weren't even in the zoning that they wanted to put data centers on.
So what I'd like to do at this point in time, just to have a record, this is a document that was provided to the township, to, I guess, a resident. This shows a 400-acre strategic Pennsylvania data center produced by JLL.
Yes.
It shows what I think you were talking about.
Yes.
Exhibit B would be a copy of the proposed ordinance the way it is today. So is there a motion to place in evidence Exhibit A, which is this document, which is the JLL document, and Exhibit B, which would be the ordinance itself that we're looking at today?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
You're making a motion? Jeff, you second the motion?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
And
5-0.
I just want to put this in document in case we have to go to hearing to show what was provided.
And I would like to submit the emails, and also there's the tragic effects of data centers. I won't read through the list because it's too long. And
All right. Let me see what you have. There's a lot of articles about data centers online. Again, if you want to read some good ones, there's the different white papers I've reviewed. So we'll make these collaborative exhibit C is a motion to put an motion to place in evidence exhibit C, which is I think 3 or 4 documents from Ms. Panasic. Is that a motion? Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Mr. Meekle,
Yes, sir.
this document Dorothy provided us, and also the lady in the rear where she's going to mark the map. You want to make that part of the record?
I forgot about that. You guys, I gave you my copies, but if you can give me somebody's, I'll make that exhibit D.
Yeah, let's put both of those in.
So D would be the Wasco document,
The Wasco document, yeah.
and E would be my
The lady-
map.
The lady back there is marking the map.
All right.
Yeah, bring it up if you have it already. We'll put it in the record. Put it on the record. Yes, I make that motion too. Let's do one at a time though here. Let's make that the second motion. We'll make this, the first motion is Dorothy's map.
Yeah.
On the sound, and we need a second.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's
Motion carried 5-0.
D. You gotta wait for E.
Okay, Dennis, we're gonna put that one in next.
This will be exhibit E.
Okay.
This is a map that was prepared by my office with the assistance of TJ and some other people.
And the lady's name there. Okay, good. Thank you. Motion on that too, buddy.
Do I hear a motion to accept exhibit E?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Russ, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. All right, keep going down the thing. It's getting kind of, ma'am, you have anything to say? Sir, would you come over here, please? You want us to move those chairs?
Yeah.
My name's Bob Jones. I live in Strabane Manor. Now, I know most of you people on the board know me, but I have a special interest in the park on Floral Hill Drive. I was on the Park and Rec Board when we got that thing going. And we knocked on a lot of doors and got a lot of crap from Harrisburg about the walking trail. You had to have this, you had to have this. And we fought like hell to get that in. Now, that park means a lot to most people in here, not just the people on Floral Hill Drive. Okay? When we started that park with less than $10,000 on that Park and Rec Board. Now, after all these years of getting that going, and it finally is green and people are using it, what do you think is going to happen 3 years from now if this, whatever this thing is, comes in? You supervisors, all you fellas up there, you came to Bob Jones when you were running. I need your help, Bob. You know a lot of people in this community, and I gave you that help. Now we need your help. These people aren't here to promote that damn thing. You know why they're here. They don't all have to talk. You know why these people are here. They don't want it. They don't care about buffers or any of that stuff. They're trying to protect their property, their value of it. I mean, what do you think these guys down with that beautiful Black Angus farm, what do you think that guy's going to do? Had his whole life on there. You think he wants to stay there? The lady with the llama farm, beautiful. I spoke to her recently. She doesn't want to be there after this thing comes in. It's in her backyard. I hope you people consider the fact that there's other things in this world besides those damn data centers. buttons you push and all that. Because believe me, it's not going to employ a lot of people. When those buildings go up, that's it. They're done. And we live with that thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am? Sir? Your name, sir?
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for letting me speak here tonight. My name is Tom Platt. I am Secretary Treasurer for Pittsburgh Building Trades, which represents this area. And I am also a Assistant Business Manager for the Electricians Union, IBEW Local 5. Sorry. Is it on?
Yeah.
It's on.
Okay. You want me to start over? Okay. All right. My name is Tom Platt. I am Secretary Treasurer for Pittsburgh Building Trades, and I'm also Assistant Business Manager for the Electricians Union, IBEW Local Union number 5. What I'm here to tell you tonight is I've had the pleasure of working with CNX in the past. They are here to be a good neighbor. I understand that it is not an ideal situation for everybody. I'm just saying that they don't want to come into your area and have a bad relationship with you. They are willing to talk. They are willing to work with people. I've had those experiences with CNX. In addition to that, along with jobs that do come into the community for building, other businesses also thrive in the area. That is restaurants, gas stations, garages, small mom and pop shops. People do spend money in the communities that they work. Once the data centers are completed, there are maintenance jobs that are going to be needed as well. But in addition to that, we bring the opportunity for good paying union jobs and opportunities for members of South Strabane. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Just in response to what he says, just so you're aware of it, if you read the articles, again, I don't know, this is a fluid situation, like I said last night. What I understand is you might have maybe 10 jobs there once it's built. They're not, you don't have 50 or 100 jobs. Once that building is built, you just have about 10 jobs there. And that's what I'm reading online. You might have a lot of construction jobs, but once it's constructed, it's just a big Sam's Club with shelves full of computers.
Correct. You're never going to have any facility that is built unless you're doing an office building or something that is going to maintain that same level of jobs. What I'm saying is there's still going to be a requirement for maintenance, upkeep, and there will still be jobs there. Is it going to be 300 jobs? I can't say that. You know, I don't know.
Oh, okay. So let him talk. Show respect. All right.
I'm just saying that it takes personnel to run the facility even after it is up and running.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
He doesn't, you don't live in the township, do you?
I do not. I do not. This is an area that I represent.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Who's next? Anyone else down that row? I'm going to start. Ma'am, next to Ms. Ecker. Do you want to say anything? Okay. Ms. Ecker? All right.
Diane Ecker, South Strabane Township. And I don't have this on my list, but I have to say CNX has not been a good neighbor in Washington County. Okay, on March 19th, the Planning Commission recommended the proposed data center ordinance proceed to the Board of Supervisors with a stipulation that additions be made. There's been ample time to review such additions, but despite the recommendations and the thoughtful and thorough input from the community over the past several weeks, the proposed ordinance that appears on the website is unchanged in its March 13th form. So we must begin where we are. I believe that it's a strong ordinance, but I know it can be better. I also believe that we need immediate protection. For the record then, I ask for a unanimous vote on this ordinance to be adopted tonight, and then begin the additional work to make further protective changes as amendments, kind of like tarping a roof until the final job can be finished. Specifically, we should adapt the emergency response so that no more than 8 hours pass for township notifications and a written notification be within 24 hours. And if emergency response is needed, that 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. time window needs to be waived so as not to become catastrophic. There needs to be a security provision 24/7 for both construction and operation. For safety and health, we should call upon the expertise that has been given to us from community members who are experts in their field, especially in science. So in addition to what has already been submitted by Fred Baird, I ask that his language, along with the input from Mumby Howe, be added as further protections. And that should include Tier 4 requirements, identifying types of generators used and low diesel fuel, so as to reduce the fine particulate matter by at least 90%. And that is critically important for health. Additional language is needed to include tamper-resistant meters, non-emergency and emergency generator run data, additional specific noise monitoring language, which is crucial, calculated payment for the community benefit agreement, stormwater management ordinance compliance, and a cap on total campus square footage. To streamline the process, I again am providing you with a complete copy of Mumby Howe's March 16th letter so that our ordinance can be equipped with amendments in the near future to offer the strongest protections for this township. And to show that our community calls for such a formidable ordinance, I am also presenting to you tonight over 1,000 signatures in support thereof. So I thank you for the work that has been done thus far, to our solicitor, to our planning commission, to our board of supervisors, and to our community. And I thank you for the additional work that will soon be done to consummate this adopted ordinance with amendments. Thank you.
Can I have your petition?
And there are 6 copies of this. This is what I've said, and each one's paper clipped with Mumby House letter.
Thank you. So I'll need okay. Right, but I'm just trying to think this. Why I want to make sure that the original goes in the record. If I give this to you, if you can scan this and send this to me tomorrow, then I can return a copy to Zecker. So this will be F. Is there a motion to place in evidence Exhibit F, which is a petition presented by Ms. Ecker, signed by approximately 1,000 people? 1,091. I said approximately.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved, George.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
The next exhibit will be Exhibit G, which is the Mumby Howe, M-U-M-B-I, I believe. Last name is H-O-W-E. This will be Exhibit G. Is there a motion to put that into evidence?
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ma'am, you have anything to say? Sir? Okay. Ma'am? Ma'am? Mr. Booth? Mr. Booth is a vestibule of information, which is very helpful. I will say that for the record. Go ahead, state your full name, please.
My name's Kevin Booth. I'm a resident of South Strabane Township. I understand that under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, the township must provide for lawful uses, including uses like data centers. But that same law also requires the township to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of its residents. That's the key issue here, how this use is regulated. Data centers are not typical commercial uses. They operate continuously, generate constant mechanical noise, require extensive lighting, and depend on large-scale infrastructure. Because of that, this ordinance must include clear, objective, and enforceable standards. And it is important to recognize that if a data center is developed in this township, it's not by necessity, it's by choice. Developers choose where to locate, and if they choose to locate here, they should be required to fully comply with the standards this township adopts to protect its residents. First, noise. A data center should not be permitted to increase the pre-construction ambient sound level at any residential property by any amount. That standard must be measurable and enforceable. Second, monitoring. A continuous sound monitoring system should be required, installed, maintained by the developer or operator at their expense with data available to the township. Third, lighting. There must be zero light trespass onto any residential property or public roadway. Lighting should be fully shielded and strictly controlled. Fourth, screening. The facility should be 100% screened from view, and that screening must be continuously maintained. Fifth, setbacks. Where an industrial district borders or faces a residential district, there should be substantial setbacks measured from the nearest residential structure and large enough to prevent measurable noise, light, and visual impacts at the property line. Sixth, infrastructure. Cooling systems should be limited to closed loop systems to prevent excessive water use and off-site impacts. These are not prohibitions. These are performance standards, and they are exactly the type of standards that makes an ordinance enforceable and legally defensible. The decisions made here will shape the township for decades and will be remembered for how well they protected the residents who live here. Because once a facility like this is approved and built, the impacts are long-term and in many cases permanent. I respectfully ask the board to ensure that this ordinance includes strong enforceable protections that fully protect the residents of this township. Thank you.
Booth. So you mentioned about lighting. I think there's a strong lighting provision in the current ordinance, if I'm correct. It's pretty substantial. The lighting, I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix this thing. Jack, you take care of it. I think in the ordinance, we do have a strong lighting feature in there. It's pretty strong. I think we also have a provision saying about, if I'm correct, something about a ground mounted sound meter or something of that nature is in the ordinance also. That's already in there. So my main thing is we want to have those protections, but I think Ms. Ecker raised some good issues that maybe we may have to add. But whatever we do has to be in a good, it has to be defined. But I think we covered a lot of those things you mentioned.
We did, and because I haven't seen the final version, I just thought it bared repeating.
Sure.
So
and yeah,
I like to wear a belt and suspenders.
You've been a big help, by the way. All right, thank you, sir. What's that? What do you have there? What,
I don't know if she wanted a copy.
well, okay, let me see what you got.
Just my statement that I read.
I'm gonna pass that down. We're on to H. Is there a motion to place in evidence Exhibit H, which is a statement provided by Mr. Booth?
Do I hear a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
Folks, next, anything to say? I'm sorry. All right, well, go, just. All right.
Again, Kathy Pinkowski, just want to go into what Mr. Booth said. Do you guys remember a few years ago on Roop Road, J&D Winery? Oh my God, they had music from 2 to 5 and he had to maintain a noise control. Let's be real, folks.
And just for the record, we are going to redo the total noise ordinance for the township to cover everybody. I just did a draft today. That's sent over to supervisors. It needs to be proofread. Since I'm party from Greene County, we say proof. We don't say proof. We say roof instead of roof. All right. No, that's how we talk. Ma'am? No, they can't do that because she'll throw some. Wait, you got to go up to the podium. She'll throw something. All right.
So my name is Kathy Smith again, and I appreciate everybody here. And a little bit about my background is I'm a pharmacist, and we owned a business in town, the Annex Pharmacy, but I've always had a second job working out of pharmacoepidemiology with Brigham and Harvard's University. And it's a pilot study in the United States. There's 6 of us in Pennsylvania. We do the truth and detailing for geriatric drug dosing. I'm the unsells person. So what's interesting about what's happening here, all these people, every one of these people are the truth and details. They present both sides of the story, which all of you men up there have to listen to both sides of the story, not just CNX, but listen to everything. So the truth is in the details. I can provide the article he talked about out of Business Times. The one truth in the details that stood out for me was, where's the power source? So there was a quote in there by a gentleman named Mr. Adamski. There's a quote in that article, Mr. Adamski. And he was talking about they have to build their own power sources, right? But guess what he said? He said, oh, by the way, First Energy has lines above us. And I don't know about anybody else, but I'll tell you right now, I live on 136 at the bottom of, I think that you guys used to call it Goat Hill. And I lose power, and I can provide you the statistics. I lose power at least once a week. So what's going to happen when we have this, as Mr. Adamski said, I don't even know the gentleman, we can use the power sources above us. So what's going to happen to everybody else? What are we going to do with the hospital that needs power? What are we going to do about all the facilities that for long-term care that need power? They need power. What are we going to do? They need power for their oxygen. Now, I don't mind when my power goes out because I have a Generac. But my question to everybody is, how many Generacs do they need up there? Right? And then they talk about mine gases. And listen, I know nothing about mine gases other than my grandfather was killed in a mine fire. And so we're going to use mine gases for power. And I'm not a scientist about mine gases at all. That doesn't sound very safe to me. So I appreciate your time, but I think we need to have the truth and details. And I'm so impressed with everybody here because the knowledge source that they are providing to you all to make a decision based on facts
not based on money is important. And thank you.
All right, so we're going to go. Ms. Deemer? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see, I thought he was. Sir, state your name, please.
Hello, I'm Doug Haig. I live on Potomac Drive.
I'm sorry, you live where?
Potomac Drive in South Strabane. It's up in Washington Woods. Couple things to build on what she just said. Actually, if the infrastructure out there for electricity is already having issues and we push a study talking to them to look at their impacts, that's going to push data centers towards on-site power generation. And if they already have gas pipelines on site, that's going to push them towards gas turbines on site. Do we have anything in this ordinance? I didn't see anything in there about, we looked at impact on local electricity impacts. Do we have any information in the ordinance about impacts on local natural gas prices?
I don't think there is, but here's the problem I have with, there's a well pad there, I believe. I don't know whether that's Range or EQT. Is that Range? Over in Hopewell Township, which is west of Washington, they put a generator on site. I think it was a generator. And they were taking the gas right out of the well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing Bitcoin mining, or I think it was called Bitcoin. They're actually doing cryptocurrency mining. And that caught me off guard because that has a lot high pollutants situation. That's something I think that we had to put a stop to in Hopewell. I had to put a cease and desist, and we did stop in Hopewell. Yeah, but I'm concerned about them generating their own electricity on site because I don't know whether they'll do it the right way. It'll be, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. And they're also going to probably ask for firm natural gas contracts as well because they don't want having their natural gas interrupted in the wintertime. And so we all have firm natural gas supplies too at our houses and stuff. But our power plants, independent power producers and things like that, they do not all have firm gas contracts necessarily, right?
And as the young lady said over there from the annex, which I remember the annex from the old days. So, but I know where I live on Cameron, on top of the hill there, my power goes up once a week because I know it goes up because my lights on the different stove and all that flicker. So it goes out. I don't know what causes it, but it goes out at least once or twice a week.
Sure. I guess in conclusion, if for my first point, we have stuff in the ordinance about how they impact electric, how they impact water. I think it's worth consideration for how they impact other utilities.
Well, and I agree, but they do have an impact. I mean, they're fighting us tooth and nail. That the ordinance that we put together initially, again, as I said last night at Hanover, it's a fluid situation. You need to keep reading about data. You all here tonight, you ought to go online, type in data centers, data center ordinances, and you can learn a lot by what's happening throughout the state. And it's difficult what's happening.
And that was a perfect segue into my final point. The largest operating data center in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania right now draws 23 megawatts of electricity. The largest one in the country in Nevada draws 650. The one they're proposing in Homer City draws 4,400 megawatts. The one they proposed 2 weeks ago, I think, in Ohio, 10,000 megawatts, right? And so I truly do like that when we're not creating setbacks and other items in our ordinances from scratch, that we're looking at other communities in the Commonwealth that have it. Sure. Are those communities looking at existing data centers, or are they looking at what the future of data centers is, which is coming very fast?
But no one really knows it's a brand new field. It's hard to say what data centers are. I mean, as I used last night, I recall years ago, the big thing was to have a beeper. Remember the beepers? And then the big thing was to have a bag phone. I still have my bag phone from back in the 90s when I used to do labor negotiations. So we went from a bag phone to phone. So everything's changing. And if like they're going to have quantum computers. You know what a quantum computer is? They're supposedly even high. It goes by a different function. I don't understand them, but they use even more power. They use more They have more impact. So we don't know what's coming forward, but when I read about quantum computers in a data center, it's going to change everything. But it causes even more impact on your energy usage.
Sure. And I feel that not just here, but all communities in Pennsylvania, I feel like we need some time to understand what does that next step look like rather than just basing off of what's out there now.
Well, but the problem is trying to search whatever the people are doing.
I agree.
And,
Yeah.
and because, I was at the last planning commission meetings, I'm not a scientist. I've never, I'm an attorney, but there's a lot of things happening at super light speed. And we have to try to figure out where we are now, but I can't figure out where we're going to be in the future. I just don't have that ability.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Ms. Deemer?
Janie Deemer, 324 Zediker Station Road. In college speech class, the professor said, do a visual to get their attention. So I am dressed in my farm clothes, so you will remember the old lady who still lives and farms the land along Zediker Station Road for 75 years. And I'm proud of that. I am rooted here. Thank you. I am passionate, so passionate about land and farming that we put our 188 acres in Pennsylvania farmland preservation. It can never be subdivided, has to always be farmed. My dad always said, take care of that land because they aren't making any more. South Strabane is a great mix of residential, commercial, and rural. If this data center comes to our South Strabane, our property values are going to plummet. And what are we going to be leaving the generations to come? I feel our county commissioners are selling us out. I attended the real estate expo on March 12th. Many sessions about data centers. And somebody, I think it was Kathy, mentioned Dan Adamski, and he was a speaker. And after the real estate seminar that they held at W&J College, interesting enough, there was an invitation only data center happy hour at the George Washington, directly following the seminar at W&J. Of course, I wasn't invited. So what's up with that? Do we know, or they're already making deals? I am recommending in this ordinance to place the setbacks to 1,500 feet from protected structures, 2,500 feet from parks and schools, the same as in our South Strabane oil and gas ordinance. And here is a copy of that if anybody wants to take a screenshot. This was amended August 25, 2020. So why aren't they going to be the same? The mega center in South Strabane is going to be the biggest venture in our history of living here. Do what's right to protect the residents, not the corporate greed people who don't even live here. Time is not our friend right now. Please pass this ordinance tonight. I thank you all.
I thought you were 39, Jane. All right, ma'am, in the blue. Can I, Ms. Deemer, you mean make a copy of that and make that as an exhibit?
Yes, you can.
All right.
Yeah.
So this will be exhibit I.
Yep.
We're gonna make this a joint exhibit I, both her statement and ordinance.
Do I hear a motion for Exhibit I?
Well, I'll make that motion.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
One second. All right, sorry about that. Science.
All right, we'll go to the gentleman with the blue hat. I guess, are you letting your wife speak or just you're gonna keep quiet? Sir, ma'am?
Wasn't gonna, but. We're gonna slide back.
What's that? Can you shut that off? Sorry about that.
You're all right.
Your name?
Jocelyn Libertor, Liberatore.
And Jocelyn spelled?
Jocelyn.
Go ahead, ma'am.
And I'm on Moker Drive. I'm in South Strabane. I didn't come prepared with comments, but it was wild to me to hear a labor representative here speaking in favor of CNX. My union elders did not lose life and limb in this township to be continuously sold out by big business and billionaires. And I just had to say something. I moved back here. I was born and raised here. I moved away. I moved back here from Washington, D.C. Last year after I lost my dad. I moved back to take his house on Moger, that debt, and be here to support my family and take care of business. And laughably, I thought, wow, maybe I'll be able to get away from politics. And now I've been to more South Strabane Township meetings than I ever thought I would have been in the year that I've been here. I just wanted to come up here and second my support for the 1,500-foot setback. Very specifically, just wanted that on the record. Thank you.
Sir?
Roger Shaw, live at 295 Roop Road. My wife and I live on 10 acres on Roop Road, adjacent to the parcels for the proposed data center. We've lived there for about 26 years now, give or take, I never remember. We have reviewed the proposed ordinance, believe it sets some good strict requirements for the data center. We hope that if a data center does come in, it'll be monitored for compliances and the ordinance is enforced.
All right, I just want to show you. Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Shaw.
My wife and I also volunteer for the Chartiers Creek Watershed Association. If you didn't know it, there is an association for that. The proposed data center property lies entirely within the Little Chartiers Creek watershed. That stream runs from Zediker Station, is a tributary of Little Chartiers Creek, also known as Linden Creek. It flows into Little Chartiers near the intersection of 136 and 519. From there, it runs into North Strabane and empties into Cannonsburg Lake before feeding the main stem of Chartiers Creek. Our association has regularly tested the water of Chartiers Creek and its tributaries for over 20 years. Little Chartiers has constantly been the healthiest stream in the Chartiers Creek watershed. We test it near the Linden Creek intersection, if you know where that is, in North Strabane, the Linden Road intersection. Our testing includes macroinvertebrate counts and simple chemical testing. It is one of just 2 streams in the Washington County portion of Chartiers Creek that is regularly stocked with trout and is considered a warm water fishery. Over the last few years, we've seen an increase in the temperature of our streams, which results in less dissolved oxygen, which negatively impacts life in the stream. Any discharge from the data center into the stream water will potentially increase the temperature of the stream. We have also found very high levels of chloride as a result of road salt usage on our parking lots. And we tested salt usage this year on roads. Excuse me. Found really high levels. Bottom of Millcraft Road found very high levels, and also Racetrack Road. We find extremely high levels of chloride. Levels of some of these streams have been too high for us to get an accurate measurement. Increased salting of new drives and parking lots at the data center could also possibly affect the health of waters downstream. Also, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services has identified 3 wetland areas that can be found adjacent to South Strabane Community Park. Our county has seen reduction in the number of our wetlands, and our association has in the past conducted a wetlands walk to increase awareness of the importance of wetlands, but we are having trouble finding wetlands to continue. Any significant pumping or removal of groundwater most likely impact those wetlands there. Finally, it would be good to look at the effects of the lack of regulation that has had effect had on our county. There are more than 300,000 undocumented abandoned gas wells in Western PA. Many of these are uncapped and pose health and environmental risk. Most are from pre-fracking boom, but not all. State is spending large amount of money to cap these wells, $40,000 to $70,000 per well. And we have a similar situation with acid mine drainage. Hopefully in 30 years, data center won't be the source of similar issues. And thank you. Yep. Try to answer. I have a couple other questions too.
Exhibit J, which is the statement by Mr. Shaw.
Second.
I'll
All
second.
those- Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried 5-0.
You said is that a high quality water stream?
Not our highest quality water stream. That would in the county would probably be Buffalo. It has to be high quality. It has to be cold water trout stream where they would live naturally. Of course, those are stocked. It's warm water, so they can't live there year round. But it is a warm water fishery and one of only 2 in the Chartiers Creek watershed that is stocked.
So that creek you just mentioned,
Mm.
it's stocked with trout.
Yep. Yes.
You mentioned also about wetlands.
That's the 3 I mentioned before.
They're not on the creek, they're on the other side.
There at the headwaters of the creek, that's one of the tributaries of Little Chartiers. If you follow the creek, if you're over in the community park and look over the hill, you see the creek, it'll run up into cattails that are below the railroad track there. That's actually a designated wetland by Fish and Wildlife. There's another one. They also designate one right along the creek you see there that doesn't look like much of a wetland. And if you ever walked in that property between the maintenance building and the creek there, it's actually had drains in there. It was a softball field a real long time ago. Anybody live there? Yeah. Yeah, it was drained to put the softball field in. So I think that would be, it's part of a designated wetland.
All right. TJ, are you able to look at the appropriate DEP maps about that or?
Yes, there's a wetland inventory, which it sounds like this gentleman has researched. And yes, that, like I said earlier, wetlands would be subject to the similar protections as the floodplains would be. But
So are you able to provide the township, my office, with a copy of what this gentleman's talking about?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I do have one more question. I'm up by their property all the time. The signs changed recently, the no trespassing signs from JLL to P2 development. Is anybody aware of why that is? You see that? Okay. So
when did they put the signs up?
Oh, okay. Had to be very recently.
I actually saw the gentleman counting them up when I walk my dogs.
Uh.
And it was late last winter. They did it in the snow. And if you Google that, the gentleman that owns the construction company lives in East Washington. He wants to have part of cleaning up. But I saw them do it and I talked to the guys.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Shaw?
Just one thing. If a data center doesn't come in, probably the next thing would be housing developments. So I'd like to have the zoning commission look at a little closer.
Well, we passed a motion, I believe, at our last meeting to do RFPs, to restart redoing everything.
Okay.
Because I think the zoning ordinance needs to be upgraded because things have changed quite a bit. I built my house in 2007. Or was that 19 years ago, I think? 19 years? Things have changed quite a bit in South Strabane.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do you need a break? No, it's up to you. I was taught with stenographers, you always got to ask a break after a couple hours. You good? All right. All right. The lady in blue next to Mr. Shaw. Gentlemen. The Mayunish. You know what that means? Nothing. It's saying nothing in Russian. What's that? I could do that Cyrillic. Gentleman in the blue. Sir? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we take a 2-minute break we're gonna come back, and keep in mind I'm very punctual. So it's about, I have 8:05. We'll be back at 8:15. So if you want to go to the restroom, go to the restroom. We'll give you a 10-minute break, okay? All right, let's take your seats, please. Take your seats. All right. All right, just some housekeeping. It's already 8 o'clock. I want to try to get to everybody tonight. But I'll take this gentleman and then I might do some housekeeping. Want to come take, sir, you want to take the podium? State your name, please.
Yes. Hi, all. Joe Roach, Morris Street, Pancake, or Panaca, as my peers of the 60s and 70s deemed it, to sound tougher when matching up with rival neighborhoods for a schoolyard pickup football game. We left our houses, no video games keeping us in the basement, and returned for dinner, then back out until the streetlights came on. Well, that was just a part of growing up in this area. While some schools had advantages, we never felt small or unworthy. We just played hard. After 12 years of actual schooling, consisting of reading, writing, arithmetic, many of us left for advanced degrees or straight to work. Marrieds, kids, divorce, new love, the decades flew by. As life would have it, I returned to this corner of the world. It was comfortable, slower, relaxed. All I had ever sought after was right here where I began. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir. You're fine.
I know. I lost my place. How'd that happen? Okay. So now, and for many years, this comfortable corner has become a target of developers, all in the name of progress, of course. Homes needed, built, but why are the majority cookie cutter duplex townhomes, condos, housing plans that took once beautiful pastures and woodlands and made the landscape resemble coal companies' patches of homes that erect for their workers? Hideous, overpriced patches on our hills. Retail giants came and left. Restaurants, too, far outnumbering brick and mortar retailers, as multicolored box trucks bring absolutely everything to your doorstep. Our smartphones all access internet. We've been dumbed down to not knowing a phone number, how to get from here to there. I guess we never called anyone or went anywhere before this wonderful technology. And when did learning turn into indoctrination? My son, a master's degree student from Kent State University, recently disowned me because I support ICE. Cut off all ties, no discussion, political theater, breaking apart families and now townships. Data centers are needed solely to support all this new technology. The push to have AI, artificial intelligence, inserted into our lives and pushed down our throats. If you're not already replaced, AI is coming for you. The last 18 years I spent keeping our vertical airspace safe. That job has now been replaced with AI. Humans are coming dispensable. Even the township's consideration of perpetuating the very apparatus that will negatively affect our township's lives seems ludicrous. Higher energy bills are certain. Our plentiful water will decrease. Costs rise, and the pollution of our groundwater is a certainty. While my research isn't extensive, it doesn't take a lot of digging before you see what happened elsewhere. Others here with a mind for the stats, I trust, will share them here tonight, and thank you for doing so earlier. And what's up with the recent post regarding a township supervisor working for a company with ties to data center infrastructure? Where's the check on ethics? We elected a couple new supervisors recently, and already they are not voting the wishes of their constituents, but their own. Ethics, where are they? This is God's country. I implore you all to listen and burn this into your vote. Just because we can, should we? I say no to data centers in South Strabane Township. And in closing, in stopping this insanity, and on a lighter note, has no one ever watched the movie Terminator? They had a choice before there was no choice. Make the right choice. Vote no on data centers in South Strabane Township, and thank you.
I just want to acknowledge we have the state rep here, Tim Neal. Neil, I'm sorry. It's been a long day. Do you have anything to say? You want to say anything at all, or? I saw you sitting back there. I thought, well, make you.
Well, I wasn't planning on speaking until you called me out, Dennis. I apologize.
That's okay.
So Tim O'Neill, I'm the state representative. I'm also a South Strabane Township resident. I live on Maplewood Circle in Cameron Estates. And I do want to commend you, Dennis, the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors for taking on the effort to learn about data centers. Because for the audience, what Dennis said about exclusionary zoning is absolutely correct under Pennsylvania law. We cannot, it is illegal for the township to try to ban data centers. It is illegal. It will be overturned in court, and then anybody can do anything they want anywhere in South Strabane if it gets overturned in court. So this effort is vital to ensure local control. So there are a lot of I will tell you in Harrisburg right now, last week, we voted on a piece of legislation, and and I anticipate voting on more pieces of legislation around data centers. The piece of legislation we voted on last week, it was actually just a money grab by the state. I voted no, because I believe the more the state tries to put their hand in the pockets of these developments, the less tools that you have to go and negotiate a local deal. I will fight, and I will continue to fight in Harrisburg to ensure that local municipalities have the ability to decide what makes sense in their township. And in each and every time that I vote on the topic of data centers, I will continue to vote in that manner. Lastly, I generally support the idea of data centers. That doesn't mean they should go everywhere or they should be everything in all cases. It is vital that the local municipality, in our case here, the Board of Supervisors, has the discretion to ensure what makes sense in our township. And I applaud all of you gentlemen and those on the Planning Commission that have gone through this process of trying to figure out what makes sense in South Strabane Township. Thank you very much for what you've done.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so what we're going to try to do is, I got two sections here. How many on this section want to have something to say for a couple minutes? So what I'm going to ask that you do, we're going to do like I used to do when I worked in the district attorney's office. I'm going to ask you to come up here and line yourselves up. That way I don't have to keep talking you, and you. So on this side, we're going to try to keep it 2 or 3 minutes because it's already 8:30. Okay, so whoever wants to talk, keep in mind 2 or 3 minutes, 3 minutes at the most. Okay, and once again, Mr. O'Neill, thank you for your input and thank you for your compliments. All right, go ahead. State your name, please.
Hi, Allison Evans, 584 Locust Avenue. I'm against this AI data center. I know AI is the wave of the future, but I think our area has been used enough for industry's dumping ground between longwall mining, fracking, and now data centers. We just seem to be a dumping ground for the rich billionaires. They're about to just take everything away from us. I used to live on Zediger about 20 years ago. Mark Murphy, I'm sure you guys know him. He was my landlord back then. And one of the reasons I love Zediker is because it was very country, very rolling hills. Me and my ex, we rode our bikes together. I got my photography business started on Zediger. We would go to the little South Strabane Park down there. I would do different types of pictures, senior pictures, things like that. And it's a special place. It doesn't need a data center on it. It needs preserved to be what it is. And I don't know about you all, but I've just had enough of being industry's dumping grounds. Like, why is it always us? Why is it always southwestern Pennsylvania? We have to have the data centers. We have to have the fracking. We have to have the coal mining. Like, enough is enough. Can we please still have some pristine spaces here? I'm also a gardener. And from my research, I found that data centers increase the temperature of the area by 15 degrees. If you're a gardener, and honestly, with these grocery store prices, we should all be starting gardens this year. That is going to make things so much worse for gardening, for the farmers, the lady that farms on Zediker. Everything is going to get so much worse. Like, can we just not have one thing here that industry and the billionaires want us to have? In the last couple of months, I've had an AI eye exam. I've had an AI dental appointment. I've heard that New York Life, from someone that works there, is putting all their policies and procedures through AI. Okay, so what is this doing for us? It's just making the rich richer. Like, we need something here for our citizens. This data center is not going to bring us any jobs. All it's going to do is cause pollution, cause all our bills to go higher, and yet again, just take more of our beautiful landscape here in Western Pennsylvania, which is one reason a lot of us live here. We're just not the richest dumping grounds, and I'd really like you all to stand up for us. So thank you for your time.
Hi, Jody Borello, Center for Coalfield Justice, and I have more of a clarifying question. I know that in JLL's documents for this site and CNX's documents that they had online that has since been removed from their site and no one can access any longer. Yes. So the second part of that brochure, there was a tiny little box that says, so on their site, there was a tiny little box, and I actually don't see the complete page in here. There's a second part to this document, actually, that you could find online that gave exactly how they were getting the power for this data center. And it was very explicit that they were going to be using a mixture of remediated mine gas and shale gas. So my question tonight, they obviously are going to have to access that remediated mine gas. And what remediated mine gas is, when the coal mine goes through, the back end falls and it creates a gob. And from that gob, mine gas can actually escape. So they will be drilling into that and accessing that remediated mine gas. No, there's more to it. And I think that I have a copy. But I want to know, when they drill those wells, is that going to be a part of this ordinance, or will they have to have a conditional use hearing for those specific wells that go into the remediated mine gas and for any kind of power plant?
But sorry about that. If you heard me talk about Hopewell Township, in what's just west of Washington, where we had somebody called Big Dog Energy that was doing using the mine gas, using the well gas, and they were just, there's no regulation, and that's the concern I'd have all of that. That makes sense to you?
It does, yes. And I just want to make sure that when those wells are drilled, that people are aware. But there is a second part to this. And it was online and it has been removed, but you can find CNX's plans where they talk about the remediated mine gas on YouTube, and you can check that out there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. State your name, please.
Nancy Gray, South Strabane. First thing I want to say is I'm not sure how many people here understand the significance of cattails when it comes to wetlands. They are nature's water purification system. And that's one of the reasons that that watershed is one of the cleaner ones in the area, because it does have those wetlands and does have some cattails that purify the water that goes through there. I'm concerned, as other people are, about the impact on many of our utilities. I'm just going to give a quick thing. The data centers tend to say that they're going to bring money into our area. They're going to improve our quality of life, those kinds of things. And whenever you look at the math, it doesn't add up. They pay property taxes, but only for their buildings. They have very few employees, so they're not paying property taxes themselves. They're not buying in our grocery stores. They're not supporting our local businesses. They're not supporting our schools. They're not involved. They're generally outsiders who hire a few people to manage the property, and that's about it. And some of the jobs are security jobs. Some of them are very specialized, so that they aren't jobs that are eligible for a lot of the people who are around here. They're a strain on our infrastructure, electricity, water. They create sound problems. I share the concerns about the use of the gases that are available. And I want to know what they're going to do about the electricity, because as you pointed out, the grid is already old and it's already strained. Water in our entire nation, water is not an infinite resource. And I heard you say that what are you going to do when you're looking around and this is something new that's coming? Well, it's new to Pennsylvania. It's not new to the nation. And if you look at small towns, mostly in the South, where they didn't have much money to fight them, they didn't have resources to fight them, and the data centers came in. They've ruined the quality of life in those towns. The air quality has been worse, the sound quality has been worse, the water quality has been worse, and the cost of the utilities in those areas has skyrocketed.
I think you're talking about Loudoun County. They call it Ashburn, Virginia, where a lot of this began.
Not just in Virginia. If you look, I think there was one in Tennessee that's caused problems. There's in Alabama or Louisiana.
Virginia has the highest number.
Well, they do.
Data centers in the nation.
But what I'm saying is you can't look, I guess, get what you're saying, that it's relatively new to Pennsylvania. And you're saying we can't you're kind of implying we can't know what we don't know about what's coming.
No, what I'm saying is we have to see what other people are doing, because.
Well, right. But we can't limit it. And I hear what Tim O'Neill said about restrictive zoning. But I think this is I get what he's saying, and yet I disagree, because this is not like any other industry that we've dealt with. It's not like any other, it uses so much more water and so much more electricity and so much more gas. And it's likely that they're going to look at coal-fired plants again, and our air quality is already not what it should be. So I'm concerned, and I think we should look at places not just in Pennsylvania where they already have it, and try to extrapolate what may happen here.
I was accused by CNX of looking outside the state, and they made a big fuss about that. But go ahead.
Yeah, and they can fuss all they want. I mean, that's their position. They don't want you to look outside the state.
Well, that's what we did. But they fuss about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're going to argue that they're just like any other kind of manufacturing, and that they should be treated the same way. And they're not. They're quite simply not. They're not transparent about the real costs of doing business with them. They're not transparent about the cost of the water, the cost of the electricity, or how it's going to impact us long term. They're not transparent. I mean, no offense to you, but our township should have known already that that's a protected waterway, should have known that there are wetlands there. And if we didn't know ourselves, they should have been transparent with us and said, oh, by the way, we realize we have some remediation to do here on this property because we have this protected waterway and we have these protected wetlands. And they're not going to be. And I respectfully disagree with the gentleman who said they want to be a good neighbor. No, they want to make money. And they hope that we see them as a good enough neighbor that will let them make money in our area. So I think that we need to talk to them about their capacity to build renewable energy, to use closed loop water systems.
That would be part of the ordinance. That is part of the ordinance.
We need to talk to them about actual benefit sharing. whatever it is, profit sharing or resources to the community, because they don't otherwise want to do anything for us. And I guess my perspective is, if the choice is between developing data to control us more, because ultimately that's what it's about. It's replacing our jobs. It's controlling us. It's predicting what we're going to do, and to reduce the need for us in the jobs. And I think service to the residents through water and utilities and transparency is primary to me. I care more about the community. And I don't care if I'm poor for the rest of my life, if my quality of life is decent. And I don't want them to damage that for me or for any of my neighbors.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
No, we're going to try to stay within 3 minutes. I gave a little bit more, but go ahead. Your name, sir?
My name is Jordan Front. I live over on Roberts Road.
Okay.
And I want to express.
Talking to the microphone.
My name is Jordan Front, and I live over on Roberts Road. And I want to express my support for the 1,500-foot setback to put into the ordinance. My big concern is for the farmers. My in-laws live over on Rankin Road, Albert and Rita Connor, and they have livestock and they have crops. And I'm concerned about the quality of the land and the resources going on for generations. I want to see him live out his days and farm that land. I want to see his sons farm that land. And I want to see his grandchildren farm that land. I want this to be a great place to support the rest of our community. And I feel like a strong ordinance would be in line with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bobby Lorenzi. I'm a business agent with the Steam Fitters here in Western Pennsylvania.
Are you a township resident?
I am not a township resident.
Where do you live at?
I live in Neville Island.
Fancy place.
I do represent members that live in South Strabane Township and surrounding communities. I just wanted to say I appreciate the platform to speak, and I appreciate the research that your residents did. I've been to a few of these town halls, and they usually end up in chaos. So well done. As far as labor goes for the steam fitters, there's been a couple things said here tonight that only 10 people work in these data centers.
That's what I read online.
There may be 10 to 20 people that work there, but the jobs that come from it, not only in construction, the maintenance every year, they do turnarounds, and that's good jobs for your children, your grandchildren to get into the trades.
Hey guys, let's show him respect. Go ahead. I know.
I don't live here, and I do respect. No,
they're allowed.
what you're doing. So there have been in Virginia, local down in Virginia, they grew their apprenticeship threefold. And those are jobs that are going to be for your community. We have 5 proposed data centers in our jurisdiction.
Where are they at?
This is one. There's one up in Mercer, Wampum, Springdale, Beaver County, and.
So let me ask you a question. I didn't have to give you the opportunity to speak. I didn't have to. Who asked you to come here tonight?
Who did?
Yeah. What made you come tonight?
I just came because this is jobs.
I asked you the question. Who asked you to come here tonight?
I came here on my own.
And how did you know about the meeting then?
I look on your township website. Okay. I mean, I'm not here. I'm not here to.
No, I'm just asking questions.
I'm just here because these are jobs. There's not 10 people.
But again,
if you
go online, again, I read constantly. Well, you people are all having a nice weekend. I'm at my office reading about these things, and believe me, what they normally say is you have maybe 5 to 10 jobs, and that's what I'm reading. So that's from different sources.
So we just approved a $15 million school, because once these data centers are trained, we are going to have to supply them with service technicians, emergency generator technicians. We wouldn't have spent $15 million if for nothing.
All right, sir.
I once again, I appreciate the time. I have a handout. I'm going to set by the door over here with your permission.
You can sit wherever you want. It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. Okay, sir, state your name.
Yep, my name is Mike Shimko. I live on East Point Drive.
So my name
How do
is
you spell
Michael.
Shimko? It's a H. Spell it, please.
Yeah, SHI as in I-M as in Mike,
K-O?
K-O,
Okay.
SHIMKO. I'm a parent and homeowner in South Strabane Township on East Point Drive. I do not want a data center in our township. I do not want my hard-earned tax dollars to subsidize them. And I understand that we can't introduce exclusionary legislation. That also doesn't mean that we need to sprint towards the unknown. We have no idea what the long-term impacts are. I've known about this for, I think, 4 months. They're relatively new. The situation is fluid. We need a moratorium until the situation is stabilized and we can come up with coherent and comprehensive safeguards. So many of my fellow citizens or fellow residents have discussed at length the high externalized costs associated with them. They have huge energy and water requirements, projected to reach up to 12% of total U.S. electricity by 2028. That stress existing infrastructure, which doesn't seem too strong according to others. And cost upgrades are commonly passed to other ratepayers like residential consumers through increased utility rates without proper rate setting by regulators, which I haven't heard anything of. They have the potential to pollute the environment with noxious chemicals, particulates, wastewater, and noise. And some, like XAI's data center in Memphis, Tennessee, have been accused of just that. And although tech companies and officials have promised prosperity to coincide with data center development, there are a few good reasons to expect this to actually happen. Contrary to what this gentleman said, I looked at a consulting firm for data centers, and they were giving estimates for the number of full-time staff per megawatt, and even large data centers employ only several dozen full-time operational staff, and this was 35.
Some of those operational staff live and work out of Chicago.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't only on in base. This is the operational staff. They simply are not labor-intensive ventures. They're big boxes of computers. They don't need people. The goal is automation. There are ways to bring jobs to our area, and this just is not one of them. Sales and use tax exemptions and long tax abatement periods are common incentives to attract data center operators into areas to develop substantially limiting the potential for increased tax revenue. Pennsylvania has the Computer Data Center Equipment Program, which exempts eligible data center operators from sales and use tax for qualifying equipment. NVIDIA H200 GPUs, which are common hardware components in data centers, can cost up to $40,000 per unit, with hundreds of thousands of units installed per data center. And at 6% sales tax, that could cost up to taxpayers up to $240 million, $250 million in tax revenue for a single data center for one particular type of computer equipment. No. I'll try. I'll speed it up. Even accounting tax revenue, the costs above are all socialized across all residents, while the benefits go to the government and operators. And so none of this is to mention the motivation behind the surge in data center development. It's the proliferation of AI systems in virtually all consumer tech and beyond. These systems require data centers to train them on vast amounts of data before they're useful. Systems that threaten to obsolete many of our jobs and devalue the labor of others. Consider the AI-powered Figure 3 humanoid robot that the White House showcased last week, promising to employ these robots to teach our children instead of teachers, human teachers. Systems that allegedly produce sexualized content of children and non-consenting adults. Systems that identified an innocent woman's face as a potential suspect in bank fraud, resulting in months of imprisonment. Yeah, I just, sure. I just want to say I appreciate all of you for all the work you've done. And
I just want to give you a statement.
Sure.
Just want to mention. All right. So I just want to say that the ordinance has already gone. The initial draft of this ordinance went to the Planning Commission of Washington County. I've had discussions with the Washington County Planning Commission last Friday with two of their folks that review them, and they've basically stated that the ordinance that we have is probably the best that they've seen in Washington County. And basically, they said that they think it's very definitive. Does it need improved? It probably does need improved, but I just want to say they have reviewed it. They like what they've seen. They think it's the most definitive in the county that they've seen. All right, go ahead. Try to keep yourself to 2 minutes, okay? I got to get this side. What's that? Yeah, is that the?
You're on the K, I believe.
We did change. Right?
Yeah, it's
Did I get? Did I?
That's it. Letter K.
That's right. 1 second, please. We're gonna. Is there a motion to place into evidence Exhibit K, which is the statement from Mr. Shimko? That's
Second.
Exhibit K. Is there a motion to that effect, George?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Try to keep it
Motion
on 2
carried,
minutes.
5-0.
Ready?
Go ahead, Matt.
Hi, Christy Cassidy, South Strabane. And I'll keep it short because it's
Sure.
really hot in here.
I have got a coat on.
I know. I don't know how you're doing it. I just want to say I understand we cannot say no data centers.
You can't. You really can't.
I get it. But if we must have one, we need to make it as unobtrusive as possible.
We have to make it compliance with the law. Go ahead. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Do you have a statement there? Did you can read off of?
Yeah, just very quickly.
Can we have-
And
can I
you've
have a
probably
statement?
you've heard my comments before. I'm really worried about the low frequency hum. The ordinance that I saw last only includes dBA measurements, which are specifically designed to filter out the low frequency sound, the type of hum that we think we might hear. So a facility could be fully compliant on paper while generating a constant audible hum, audible to neighbors around the clock. The fix is straightforward. Any meter that measures dBA to the standard already cited in the ordinance also measures dBc. It requires no new equipment. And from what I've seen online, it says a 15 decibel gap between dBc and dBA at the receptor is the internationally recognized trigger for investigating low frequency noise. Denmark, the UK, and several US jurisdictions use it as the threshold. So I would just ask that we add the low frequency noise.
Is that in there?
Yes.
Anything else?
Just the last draft I saw, it did the protections for anything that's outside of the ordinance was complaint driven.
Well, that's going to change. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, then I will stop. And then it also had in there that residents should pay.
That's not.
Awesome. Okay, you
Okay.
got me.
Can I have your statement? Yeah. Is your name on there? Write your name on there. Excuse me? You can say that. But the law, we have to follow the law though. I know, that's First Amendment. Supreme Court of the United States just made a big thing. What's that? I just said the law. No, I just said what the law is. I didn't say that. All right, go ahead. And by the way, just for the record, I grew up in a coal mining town. I lived in half a house, a patch. I'm a patch hunter. I know, but I grew up well. All right, go, sir, ma'am, state your name.
Yes, my name is Lisa Harrod, Hawrot, and I live on Green Crescent Drive off of Floral Hill, along with my husband, Jim.
Is that
I'm
him behind you?
Yeah, no, that's him back there. I'm the talker of the house, so that's why I'm.
Does she have your wallet also? Go ahead, 2 minutes.
Yes. So a couple of things. Personally, I am opposed to data centers.
I don't, by the
Being
way,
an
I don't,
attorney-
by the way, I don't
but-
even have internet in my house.
Being an attorney, I appreciate the fact that we can't have an exclusionary
Okay. Go
owner,
ahead.
and we can't have that in the township. I get that. But a couple of things. The gentleman just brought up about moratoriums. Since our state representative is here, I would ask him if he would go back to Harrisburg and please support a moratorium throughout the state so that more research can be done on data centers and the effects that they have on people, on our health, on property, and all of the other related issues that we have here.
If I'm correct, there's a bill out there right now to have a 3-year moratorium. Am I right, Mr. O'Neill? I thought I saw something online about that. Senate? Okay. All right. There's something, I just want to say there's something out there, at least I saw. Go ahead, Matt.
Yes, and I didn't really think I was gonna have to come up here and talk about the jobs issue, but I'm going to because it's been brought up a couple of times by people. And looking at one of the data centers in Columbus, Ohio, construction jobs there lasted on average 6.5 weeks. That's it, 6.5 weeks, with about 146 workers on site at the time. As you pointed out, those aren't necessarily local resident workers.
No.
Those are folks that travel
Or
from
there's-
place to place from larger cities that come in to do this.
Or they work from the computers in Chicago.
Correct.
Okay.
So this isn't even something that our local unions should be really excited about because it's not going to do what they are claiming it's going to do. So that's part of it. The second part is that the research shows that data centers don't stimulate growth and check jobs. There was a study that was done by an economist named Michael Hicks that examined data center development in Texas. And it found that while some jobs might appear when data centers open, they often are offset by job losses in other sectors. So as he's saying, in other words, workers are moving. So for example, from operating and maintaining maybe like cable TV networks and working on data centers. So there's really no net job growth. Data center employment accounts for only about 0.01% of all jobs in the US, yet the industry consumes about 4.4% of the nation's electricity. And, you know, truthfully, as AI expands, it's taking jobs, not providing more jobs. So again, I appreciate the work that you've done. I appreciate the consideration here of all of the members. And thank you again.
All right, thank you. 2 minutes. Sir, state your name, please.
My name's Kyle McKee. I'm new to this lovely area. I live in Windsor Village, it's called.
Highland.
Highland. Oh,
All
I'm
right.
sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Go.
So I come from a unique perspective. I actually spent today in Columbus, Ohio in a data center. Is that better? So my employer, I'm president of a company. Don't throw anything at me, but I'm in charge of implementing AI in my company, in my business. So I'd love to sit here and talk about CPUs versus GPUs, why that data center is benign and this would not be, but I don't have time in 1 minute and 15 seconds. So what I'll say is, I'll make 2 points. One, we rely on you guys to protect us. We rely on you. We know CNX is going to be profit oriented. We know that. We are really relying on you to put those safeguards in place. And point two, I'm speaking more directly to probably CNX. This isn't how you do things. You would probably make money, more money longer term if you'd work with communities and build to size and scale that makes more sense and build that social acceptance that you're not getting and why 40, whatever it was, $1 billion of projects are failing. If you would work towards that social acceptance. 25 seconds. That's it. We rely on you. Please help us. And CNX, maybe a different perspective would work for you.
Did we get his name, by the way? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
On this side, who wants to speak? You guys are killing me. All right, stand in line, please. Stand in line. Whoever wants to speak, stand in line. We're gonna go 2 minutes, okay? I'll give Cynthia 3 minutes because she's been around a lot longer than I have.
Because she's been doing research for months.
No, 3 minutes. No, we'll go. But try to keep. It's already 10. It's already 10 till 9. Okay, so let's try to be. Anyone here that's not a resident of the township? Anybody here from the Steam Feathers or the thing? I'm not gonna let you talk.
The MPC requires you to let interested parties.
Are you? Who are you with?
I'm with Pittsburgh Works Together. We're a business labor organization.
Who asked you to be here?
I asked me to be here. It's my job to know these things.
All right. We're gonna give you 2 minutes.
The MPC also
I'm
requires
I don't. It's sir. I have the floor. When I talk, you don't interrupt me. You understand that? Go ahead, Ms. Ross.
Okay. Cynthia Rossi, Tower Hill Farm, Zediger Station Road.
Go ahead.
I know.
I apologize for yelling.
An open letter to the South Strabane Board of Supervisors and to the residents of South Strabane Township. Have you ever seen a data center complex? And have you ever seen a data center complex fired by an on-site gas power plant? Has anyone seen one of these things? I have. Last week, I traveled to such a site in Ohio. And Ohio is the has the fifth highest amount of data centers in the United States. It was located not in the heart of a community. The sprawling mega complex that I saw is located adjacent to a major interstate and trucking route, and that is heavily traveled. There were no residences in sight of the complex. This is not what is proposed here in South Strabane. What is proposed is in the heart of the township on land that as recently as the 1980s was rezoned I-2 from agricultural to fit the needs of Beth Energy mining. If you look deeply enough into the online information from CNX and JLL and study gas infrastructure, you may find a shell and methane gas-fired operation is what is contemplated in the middle of our township. Because of the CNX gas holdings, they likely plan to reap heartily from the sale of gas to the data centers and to the sale or leasing of the surface. And we will have a view of Armageddon like what I saw in Ohio last week. Always follow the money. You have no idea what I saw. It was horrific. A new concern arrived at the March 19th, 2026 meeting of the South Strabane Planning Commission. A remark was made by a key player regarding protecting the nice homes on Floral Hill Drive. I stand here tonight and I ask that each of you, fulfill your responsibility to protect every resident and every homeowner in this township. Whether a person calls a McMansion or a trailer a home, each deserves protection and respect. Another remark made at that meeting and the undercurrent buzz among residents, and this is also in a text that I received this morning, is that a past member of the Board of Supervisors has engaged in discussion regarding appropriating some CNX land for the playing of baseball. Could this be unethical and inappropriate behavior? And should this not be investigated? And if proven true, should not this individual and any others who seek or sought to benefit at the expense of others be held accountable and censured? A friend once said that the last plague to leave Pandora's box was that of hope. I urge you to find it within yourselves to give the residents belief in our community rather than hope, and to protect each home and each person. No matter what the Citizens United decision says, corporations are not citizens. Tonight, I would like to submit into the record all of the comments that I have been making at the meetings, including information about the longwall mining of most of this acreage and statements from the mining industry as to how there can be long-term destabilization of the land. And if you can imagine what I saw last week in Ohio becoming destabilized, we are talking about Armageddon. In addition, I have made comments on the draft ordinance for the battery storage and for the noise ordinance. And I realize that there has been a change in a few of those, although the changes are not on the site yet. I have packets for all of the supervisors and one to be entered into the record.
Right,
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to take, you got 3 minutes, sir. No more than 3 minutes. You understand that?
That's fine. I can do what I'm doing. My name is Ken Zapinski. I'm Director of Research.
Wait. You have to give us your address also. It's part of the rules.
631 Iron City Drive, Pittsburgh, 15205. I'm Director of Research and Public Policy for Pittsburgh Works Together, a business organized labor alliance working to create quality jobs that provide economic opportunity for all segments of the community. Together, the employers and unions that make up Pittsburgh Works represent more than 100,000 workers across the state, including some of those who live in South Strabane. Healthy communities need healthy and robust economies. I will let others talk about setbacks and other specific problems with the draft data center ordinance you are considering. Instead, I want to speak briefly about the Pittsburgh regional economy. It is doing poorly when it comes to keeping and growing good paying jobs. Research report from February that we produced found that the Pittsburgh region is the worst performing region in the state for creating manufacturing, energy, construction, and other jobs that produce tangible materials for society. Those are the kinds of jobs that pay on average 33% more than service sector jobs. And not only are we in last place in Pennsylvania, we are really getting clobbered by our Ohio competitors, Columbus, Cincinnati, and even Cleveland. We have nearly 10% fewer of those kinds of jobs than we did pre-COVID, while our competitors are streaking ahead. This region has many wonderful attributes, but when it comes to attracting and growing businesses, we have challenges we can't change, including the cold gray weather and our terrain, which makes it expensive to build. To overcome these challenges, this region must be best in class in everything it can control about its business climate. And that's the problem with the draft ordinance. By placing unreasonable and possibly illegal limitations on a growing industry, wanting to invest, approving this measure would turn on a giant neon sign that says, "We are not open for businesses." And industries and investors across the board will see it as one more indication, it is not, that there are easier places.
All right, your 3 minutes is up. All right, anyone?
I'm submitting back comments, the full comments
All
for
right.
the record.
Okay, I understand. Take a
Okay.
seat. Anyone else back there that's not a South Strabane Township resident? You're not South Strabane?
We represent South Strabane residents.
We're gonna take you. You don't, sir. You're out of order.
You're out of order.
Anyone? Wait. No. Township residents first.
I represent township residents, and I will be heard.
I'm taking township residents first. You're gonna go back on. All right. Come on.
MPC requires impartiality.
Sir, I'm not showing anything. We're taking township residents first. Go ahead.
Very inappropriate.
It's like when I go to court and Green now. Go ahead.
My name is Jill Fleur, Fellure. I'm a part of Windsor Highlands. I will be brief. I just want to say I am not from here. I'm actually from the other side of the state, one of the actually strictest zoning townships on the other side of the state. And I live here because I choose to live here. I actually live by Windsor Highlands because of the country landscape, as other residents have said. And my kids go to the park and we bike and we walk and we run and we do all this other stuff. Who wants to look at a data center, a hyperscale data center also, that's also going to drive 5 times the amount of energy that other data centers that currently exist are. And I know CNX wants to be a part of the whole hyperscale data center thing, but that's not why I live here. I choose to live here and I will be privileged enough to move if that comes through. So I don't want to be exclusionary, but thank you for your time.
Who's next?
My name is Gretchen Means, and I live at 238 Woodside Drive in South Strabane. I've been a resident here for 46 years, and I can't even begin to tell you how I appreciate the brilliance of all the research that everybody has done and brought to the table, because it has continued to open my eyes about the concerns that I have, which to me are personal. The opportunity for forever chemicals coming into our soil is very disruptive to any gardener out there. I have worked for about 7 years on my organic gardening, and that was mainly to support my husband, who was on dialysis and has since had a kidney transplant 5 years ago. But we were taught at UPMC prior to the transplant that Jack could not be exposed to certain things. And that is why I was really growing the garden, to support my husband's health. So that aside, I also am a realtor and have been so over 30 years. I have a client right now coming here from Virginia who originally had South Strabane on their list. And then they said to me, I don't want to be anywhere near where there's going to be a data center. And so this could also impede people that are coming into our community in the future. And that's all. Thank you.
I'll be quick. I had more to say. Leanne Bauer, 243 Hallam Road. And I'm here to represent and protect Roop Road and our township. The one thing that I think needs to be in the ordinance is these are all very rural roads with families, kids that live in the country that want to play. They want to ride their bikes. They don't have sidewalks. They have roads. I used to ride my big wheel on Roop Road. And it's made up around that area of nothing but rural roads. If this data center goes in, it needs to be in the ordinance that they use nothing but 136 and they never cross over on the other roads.
That it?
I'll be quick and that's it. How's that?
Any township residents back there? Your township resident? State your name, sir.
Hi, my name is Jonathan Vlasic. I live on 197 Roop Road. I've been there for about 16 years. First off, I want to say that I'm very proud to be your neighbor because you guys and girls have done such a wonderful job here. I live there with my wife and my two young daughters, 6 and a 12-year-old. I moved from the corner of Climax and Beltsuver up in Allentown to my little slice of paradise. So we're not going to get into that. Obviously, we're all feeling it in our souls, right? About our slice of paradise and our country being taken for the very reason why that we were brought down here. And there's not a single penny or dollar that would change our mind on that. The one thing that I'm concerned about, and I'm going to be in Loudoun County, actually down to my sisters, and I've seen these data centers, and I'm not the type of person that's anti-business or but these data centers just they don't look good. And I'm worried about the health implications, as has already been brought up many, many times here already. But I think there's things that we have to also worry about the unknown. So I'm on the aquiform. I don't have a well. I dip a well pump down into the aquiform. That's how I get my water. And this is going to be just right across the way. So that's how we drink this water. We have it tested all the time. It's my only source of water. I'm concerned about that. The one thing about the noise that you hear time and time again, that it's a real thing because I've heard it with my own ears, but my question to you guys, is there a topography when they're doing the noise as far as the decibel level and the way that it works? Do they take topography into account too? Because where this thing's going to sit, it's going to be like a megaphone. You know what I mean? And it's going to travel. Okay. You probably already have the answers to that. But I'm also worried about the unknown. With cancer spreading rapidly through this country, there is definitely unknown here. I mean, if this cell phone, my cell phone in my pocket might give what's wrong? Oh, okay. Well, but it's the EMF, right? And if cell phones are maybe known to cause cancer, do we even know the protective measures that are put in as far as dampening, as far as letting these EMFs pulse through our body? So that's just one. That's just one thing that maybe we have to look about. There's unknowns here because this thing is so virgin, right? Thank you.
John Cooney, Root Road. I share a lot of the same concerns as everybody here, so I don't want to sit there and repeat them. Big setbacks, noise, all that. One thing I don't share with you guys, a lot of you grew up here. I didn't. I've been here for 2 years. I didn't end up here. I chose to be here. I have a great view. It's very quiet. I have a 6-year-old. He's all over the yard in his dirt bike, his quad, and things like that. A data center in this particular piece of property ruins that. It doesn't just ruin because it's going to be built up next to my property line, but it's going to ruin all of us with the noise, the light, everything, the things that I moved away from growing up in the city of Pittsburgh. Thank you guys for the hard work that you did. I read through the ordinance. It looks, I'm happy with what it says. It protects us. I mean, obviously I would like to have a lot more, but I understand we can't be too exclusionary.
You can't say there's no data. I
I totally agree, and I understand that. That's what I'm saying. I read through the ordinance. It looks good. It seems as if it's very protective to us, and hopes that we just push them completely away. For these guys in the trade to say different, I understand why they're here. They're trying to get their guys jobs. Keep in mind, those are temporary jobs, and I say that as a union member. Those are temporary jobs. When that data center is built, there's a couple people left to run it. Most of them will be on a computer. Hey, thanks for the work you do. I appreciate it. Keep it up.
I had three famous words. Less is better.
I hear you. We're tired of this too. We've been, a lot of us, I'm sorry, Jeff Segment, Roop Road. That's, well, we are too. A lot of us have been there for the past 5 months also. So we're exhausted too. So you got to keep that in mind. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't that important. And it's nice to see these other people here also. I'll skip a lot of the stuff just because it has been rehashed over the past couple months. I appreciate that. And then as far as the new ordinances go, they're good. They're great. No, but it is what it is. But a lot of this was put out. A lot of it is, it's the lack of transparency through JA Realty along with CNX. You know, the way they list the parcel, the map that they initially put out. They were using all 1,400 acres. You know, we want the reason we asked for our setbacks is we wanted 1,500 feet from the property lines. Okay, good. Well, guess what? They come back and say we want 250 feet from your property line. Well, if you're not going to use all that property, what do you need it for? Do I trust them? Absolutely not. Okay. I guess the bottom line is it's more, they're trying to get what makes them good and stuff like that. This is all about big corporation money and stuff like that. We all know that. We all live here. So I guess the biggest thing I got to say is it's these corporations and, the outside elected officials, they don't care. I mean, we live here. The one thing I could say, with you guys being at all these meetings, our board, along with our solicitor, all being South Strabane residents. So you know where we're coming from.
I'm a South Strabane resident.
I know. Well, that's what I said. No, I included you on that. Yeah. I've been paying attention these past 5 months. So I understand it. But like I said, this is why we're all reaching out to you guys to protect us from what's going on. These other people, they don't care. I guarantee if I say, let's put it, in these other places, they're gonna be different. We're good, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. South Strabane County resident. State your name, please.
I gotta put this down a little bit because it's a
No,
little high
you-
for me.
you can't put it down.
There you go. My name's Rebecca Booher, Booher. I live on Lakeview Drive. Okay, so 30 years ago, when I moved my husband and my two young sons here, I had to deal with longwall mining. And I was not, giving me a minute, okay, because we were lied to, okay, about it. 6 months after we moved in, I got 4 letters stating that they were going to longwall mine underneath me. Okay, so this is another big thing for me because I'm on that end of Lakeview where this big building is going to be. So I kind of feel violated, to be honest with you. Okay, we were talking about, Mr. Shaw was talking about the wetlands. There is another section of wetlands that's right across the street from me. Okay, I received a phone call the other day from a gentleman asking me if I wanted to pay $29,000 for that piece of wetlands. Okay, I told him no, thank you. Okay, so that's another place that we can look and make sure that those wetlands are protected. The third thing that happens with me, where I am upset about this, in addition to all the other things with the cancers and the noise and whatever, is that area has been the hunting grounds for veterans for the past 20 years, for disabled veterans. They take them in there with their wheelchairs and in order to get them in there to be able to hunt and to have some normalcy, okay, like they had before. And if that's gone, they won't have that. Okay, and so that is it. So I'm asking you to say absolutely no, and you can. I just looked it up online.
All right. Take your name and your South Strabane County resident.
John Husk, Roop Road. Yeah, the whole neighborhood's here.
Are you Jim Husk's son?
One of those. So, what I get,
You're the good one.
what I understand is the meetings about creating zoning that is hard as possible for a data center to come in here. So you're trying to put as much regulations on them as possible.
No, what we're trying to do is make it reasonable for the people.
Make it-
reasonable for the, I can't say, just like Mr. O'Neill said, I can't say, sorry. I can't say no. We cannot say no. We can't make it so difficult it becomes exclusionary. He's absolutely correct. That's what the law provides. So what we have to do is make something that's doable.
Okay, so at different times in South Shebang, we've had some accidents. Like they tried to build a mall, J.C. Penney's right next to a cliff. Are there any regulations about how close to a retaining wall like that you're allowed to build something? Because I saw the map of how many buildings they were going to put in there, and it looks like it's about the size of a football field each building. And I know there's no place on most of that land that you can put a football field on.
I represented somebody with that situation. It wasn't just because of the thing. It was, there was unstable ground, but that's the story for another day. Go ahead.
There's going to have to be some serious landscaping to get these buildings in that hilly area. Like, do you put any zoning in about regulating how far from a retaining wall or how far back from a
That would be
retaining
part,
wall?
that would be part of a land development plan.
Okay. Another thing too is everybody's, one thing about going last is everybody has already, talked about everything. I was concerned about utilities, like where are they going to be using well water? Or are they going to be using the city water?
They don't, just for the record, they don't like using raw water. They call it well water because raw water has contaminants. And so what they try to do is they try to use public water, potable water, because they try to do what they're doing now is they're using closed loop systems. The closed loop systems are more cost efficient.
So when they're done with that water, are they going to put them in retainment ponds? It's going
Well,
to soak back down into the
part of the whole process is they have to have a wastewater. So it has to be shipped to a wastewater facility. It doesn't go back into the ground.
And would that be in the zoning?
That's part of the, what is it, Act 101?
Would that be allowed in that area?
You can't just dump stuff that's pollutant into the ground. There's certain rules. It's covered by state law also and township rules things. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Tell your father I said hello. All right. Who's next? We got two people left. You got 2 minutes to go. You have to state your name and address, please.
I'll be 10 seconds. I'm Tom Bresnik with Penn State Extension.
All
Our,
right.
our office is across from the courthouse there. I'm just submitting two things. We've been getting a ton of emails and calls on this. So we have a new community guide to data center development that we have come up with at the university.
Can I have a copy of that?
yes.
I read your documents also, by the way.
Yeah, and we have
You
another.
had good stuff on solar farms also.
Yeah, so this is in response to a similar request for this topic, but also the new Institute for Sustainable Agriculture, Food and Environmental Science initiative. A ton of research and a ton of doctoral candidates on this that you can contact for further discussions. I'll leave my card as well, but
If you
that's all.
could, please. And we'll make your document as an exhibit along with Ms. Rossi's and the gentleman that came after you. I'm sorry about the gentleman came after her. All right, so can I have that, please? Where's that? Just housekeeping here. So why don't we do this? Is there a motion to place in evidence Exhibit M, which is the Rossi document, N, which is the Pittsburgh work document, O, which is the Penn State extension document? Is there a motion?
We didn't do L yet.
It's up to you. It can be on.
I'm sorry, L was the Cassidy document. I'm sorry, my mistake. L was the Chrissy Cassidy document. M was the Rossi document. N is the Pittsburgh Works document. O is the extension guys document. So there's a motion to put those L.
All those.
So moved.
Second. I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Anybody else?
Okay, motion carried 5-0.
State your name and address, please. Hold the microphone down, sit down.
My name is Ben Bush. I currently reside at 130 Neshannock Trails Drive in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I serve as the Vice President of Public Affairs for the Allegheny Conference, and I want to commend you all for the public and stakeholder engagement you've done here over today and over the last 6 months.
I don't live in the township, but I do have family that live adjacent to the Homer City property, and I live in Lawrence County where there's currently a proposed data center. Really, I just want to commend you for the research you've done and ask you to continue to do that research. Our job at the Allegheny Conference is to expand the economy in southwestern Pennsylvania, but we don't want to see that happen without public understanding and support of the processes that are going on. That's why recently we took a trip to Loudoun County with 8 of the 10 county commissions in southwestern Pennsylvania. We were able to see a data center facility close up. We were able to understand what's going on with the facility. But more importantly than that, we didn't just go to see the buildings. We sat down with the local supervisors. Loudoun County data center development has been going on for almost 2 decades, right? So we had the opportunity to sit and discuss with, sorry, I'm going to give you a name here, Mike Turner, who's a supervisor in Loudoun County. He is probably the world's foremost expert on data center development as a government official. He currently has a 400-page white paper on data centers on the Loudoun County website, and he is very open to communicating the things that communities should consider when considering data center development. I can, if I can get your contact information, I'll make sure you get that. We want to see the economy grow, but we want to understand that residents and communities are safe as well. And we believe that this can be done at the same time. By continuing to do your research, by understanding the needs of the community, as well as the needs of industry, blending them together and come up with a solution that works for all folks. I do want to touch on a couple of items that have been talked throughout this time. When we talk about energy and resilience, I've heard a lot of folks say that their power has gone out every week. With what some of the legislature is proposing, as well as the governor's grid alliance system, these folks will be required to make those upgrades so that your power won't go out on a weekly basis. They'll be required to make the investment in the grid infrastructure. Water stewardship, I know the solicitor had mentioned this earlier, with closed loop systems, this is the way you should make sure that these are in your land use policies so that you're not worried about excess water use. Community oversight, that's what you guys are doing right now, making sure that the proper ordinances are in place and can work with both the residents and industry. And then, not to bring up taxes, but I'll bring up taxes. Loudoun County this year had $1.3 billion worth of tax revenue into the community, as well as community benefits agreements that are making sure that there are curriculums and additional curriculums in school for workforce, making sure that community centers are being built up, different things to support the community. And as long as the community requires those items, the community and the residents can be made safe. So I just want to thank you all for your time tonight, and I will be sure to get that information and that contact information over to you. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, go ahead, ask the question. Getting kind of late.
Just, can I have a 10-second follow-up? Thank
State
you.
your name just for the record.
I was already up here. Allison Evans from Locust Avenue. My question is, will you, as the supervisors, compel whoever does not want to live next to this noisy, polluting data center, will you compel the company putting it in there to pay them all fair prices for their houses and moving costs? Like, if you have to put it there, is there some way that the residents can get out of living in something like that? Or you couldn't do that? What about South Strabane then? No. Okay. Didn't think so. Thank you.
Okay, so
So we have one on Zoom.
who's on Zoom?
Tammy?
Yes, Tammy Smutney.
You have a question for somebody?
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question. Jeff Bulls, one of the supervisors. I wanted to ask a question. I read the article that you put out in favor of data centers with great interest. But the elephant in the room is there's about 3 elephants in this room. First elephant is, what size was that data center?
I will definitely get back with you on
Okay,
that.
you
I believe
that's
so.
critical.
I did conduct this. Our research folks did, but I can get back with you.
Well, that's critical because what they want to put here, they've never built. And, and everybody needs to understand there's nothing to base what we're looking at here. There's nothing. And we're not going to throw caution to the wind. We're not going to throw caution to the wind.
To do that either.
And I've made this statement before. If you bought a piece of property in this town, somebody owned the coal under it. You bought a piece of property in this town, somebody owned the gas under it. Nobody owns the property, the data rights or the rights to your peace and privacy and your quiet and quality of life. And that needs to be first and foremost. And I understand where you're coming from. And I guess everybody in life has a job to do. And you did a good job on yours. But you know, these people here have legitimate concerns. And what are we, I mean, there are already people selling their houses, and we're not even sure it's coming.
They certainly have legitimate concerns. What
Yes,
I will
and
tell
I
you is
and I think
continuing
it's,
to research and fully understanding those concerns is imperative for you as Board of Supervisors, as well as the community, to understand exactly what is being proposed in their community. I fully understand that.
Thank you.
We have a line. 2 minutes, please.
Tammy and Kaylee.
Who's take
One's talking to the microphone, she can't hear you.
All right, it's getting late. Okay, we'll go by Kaylee first. Is that it?
Tammy.
Is it Kaylee? I thought you said.
Kaylee and Tammy.
Let's go with Kaylee. We'll go alphabetical. What's the last name? Kaylee? Kaylee? All right, let's go to Tammy.
Hi, my name is Tammy Smutney. I live in the city of Washington, Pennsylvania.
Go, you got 2 minutes, man.
All right, thank you for letting me speak. I'll be quick. Data centers face frequent hacking attacks.
You have to talk into your microphone, or what are you talking into? We can't hear you.
Okay. Data centers face frequent hacking attacks, and a hacked data center has a potential to bring down our power grid and disrupt our water supply. I do not believe the revenue estimates projected by the data center industry because the industry is not yet profitable. In addition, data center companies do not hire many local men and women to build their facilities. They say that they use union labor, but it turns out to be union labor from other states for proprietary reasons. They do this to protect trade secrets. A labor union in Michigan City, Indiana, is trying to hold their government officials accountable for allowing out-of-state labor to build their data center. These officials had given tax breaks to the data center company to come to their city. If the county, city, or state gives tax breaks to a data center builder, or the federal government builds a gas power plant using our tax dollars, I view this as public benefit, meaning the work should go to our local contractors. If there's a negotiation such that local companies are to be hired to build a facility here, make sure the employees are in fact local and real. This process can be scammed. The federal government has scandals right now with small business set-aside contracts. The contracts are sometimes fake, with a small business winning a contract, then subcontracting the work to large companies. In other words, it really does look like the data center industry is not being forthright with our local union labor. I know several union guys have been here tonight talking about that. You need to do your homework. Contact that union that's in Michigan City, Indiana, and see what they have gone through. There's articles online. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Is that Kaylee still online?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it kicked me off.
Can you give us your name and address, please?
Yeah, I'm Kaylee Booth. I grew up on Zedeker Station Road. My mom and dad is Julie and Kevin Booth. I lived with them for 25 years.
We can't let you talk any further.
So I grew up there. I lived there for 25 years. I just moved down the road 10 minutes to Waynesburg Road. I would suggest if you guys can look into the PFAS chemicals. They're known as forever chemicals. They are hard to break down. They pollute water. If we can put in the ordinance or look into it, I don't know if it already is, they need regulated. These data centers need to show the amount of chemicals they're using and or discharging. These forever chemicals are linked to rare cancers, immune system damage, and many other health problems. I'm a cancer nurse. I've been a registered nurse there. I see 130 cancer patients a day. Think about your families. You don't want this. You don't want to deal with it. Thanks.
That it?
That's it.
Okay. Anybody else on that computer?
Nobody has.
Anybody else have anything to say on there? Anybody?
Sir, I was just hoping you would submit my written remarks. Thank you.
So this is a,
You left off on it. Oh.
I have them over here. This will be exhibit P. This will be a state of event bush.
Yes.
The Allegheny Conference. Development. Motion to that definite.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
All right. Did I get everybody that wanted to speak? Dorothy, you said you want to speak about something else. You said before.
That's okay. If I would be able to write it and submit it to you at another time, I figured this time.
Why don't you come up, just have it here right now?
That's okay.
Come on.
Dorothy
needs to be on the public record,
please.
I'm getting paid triple time right now. My back's hurting.
That's if you get paid.
We'll give you a couple minutes. You got $10?
You know where to start.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
State your name.
I'm Dorothy Walsco. I live in Windsor Highlands, and I've been a realtor for 35 years. I am concerned about the effect it has on my neighborhood, my clients, my residents. I'm shortening it up. And again, I'm concerned about the sound, the odor, the fire, the explosions, all of the things that they put in the data centers, all of the banking, all of the animals that this sound is going to hurt. Children. I'm jumping all over.
Just speak your heart. That's all you have to do.
Okay. And someone had said that these little data centers, they pop up like little rabbits. All of a sudden, there's nothing there, and these buildings go up so quickly. And I can't imagine living and looking in my backyard to see these big, hideous things standing there. And what do you say? Oh, I'm going to sell my house. Well, you're really not going to be able to sell your house for what you think it's worth because, again, appraiser is going to look. If you live in front of a lakeside ocean or whatever pool, they're going to say, oh, this is really nice. But if you're looking at this data center, they're going to say, who is going to buy this? And it's going to affect your value, all of it. And I would be happy if you would keep the map. I don't need to take it.
In that fancy frame?
Fancy frame.
That
And that's it. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. And I can't give you this because I've scribbled on it.
Give me
I've
let me
done
have
it.
let me have it. Give me-
Really? Oh,
We'll mark it as exhibit.
thank you very much. Thank you to the committee.
Evidence exhibit Q, which is the Wasco statement.
I'll make that motion.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 5-0.
Really make Q?
Colleen Dilly, Main Street, South Steuben Township.
Where's my $10?
I have my checkbook, Dennis. I will give it to you. If not, Zach lives right behind me, so he'll make sure I pay you. Just want to tell you something. Okay, I dealt with CNX. I lost my home because CNX lied to me. I just need to put that out there. I lived in prosperity for over almost 50 years till we had to sell. We had to sell. I got barely nothing for our property, and we had 10 acres. Okay. They came into my home, our home, and said, we will work with you. I lost gas. I lost water. That was on us. It was not on CNX. I'm sorry if he's still here, but they lied. They lied. I lost my home. I moved back there because I was born and raised in Pancake. I'm a Panakian. But you know, that's our lingo for that, you know. But anyway, I was born and raised here. I married and moved to Prosperity. You go out in Morris Township and you look at the properties, you look at the farms. It's pathetic. It's so sad because we lost everything. We moved in here. I don't want to go through that again. This is where I was born and raised. It's a nice community. Billy Bell Park has even gotten better, and I'm happy about that. Thank you for the cameras and stuff. It's working out. But don't I know you can't defy them from coming in, but make the ordinance stronger. Make them stronger, that they have to live up to it. They have to respect the residents. CNX had a big sign up past my house. Respect the residents. They went zooming up 80, 90 mile an hour with their trucks. I had to have my husband go up on a quad and confront the guy because my 7-year-old granddaughter was standing at the bottom of my driveway waiting for a bus. He barely hit her. So this is concerns. I wasn't going to say anything. Believe me, I'm not really a speaker.
You've done well.
But you have to understand, some people you can trust, some people you can't. I put my faith in CNX and I lost everything. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's approximately 9:30. It's been a long, we started what time, 6 o'clock or 6:30? 6:30. I just want to say I apologize for getting angry today, but I don't like when people push me around. So I just want to apologize if I upset anybody by yelling, but I'm getting to that stage in my career where I can't tolerate BS after a while. All right, so I just do apologize to everybody by showing my anger. Do you want to close the public hearing right now? Yes. All right, so before we do the close of the public hearing, I think what we're going to do is, there's a lot of good points I have to take into mind, because we have 1,000 feet versus 1,500 feet. If I start the process over again, I got to make sure I'm going to tweak the ordinance, what we have, because people made some good points, and we'll probably try to have some process towards the middle of the month. Is that right? Yes. So we have, go ahead. No, I think what I'd rather do is I'd rather have it done, and then, because if I don't do it that way, they're going to come after me saying I didn't follow the correct procedure. So I think you guys somebody here says 1,500 feet, and there's some council supervisors say 1,500 feet. So I think I have to tweak it to do that. But again, just keep in mind, whatever we do, it's going to be litigation with these folks. Okay? All right, is the motion to close the hearing?
Yes. Make a motion to close the hearing. Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjournment.